Hey everyone, and welcome to the next installment of the Mac Marches, the Castle Mac style West Marches game where our heroes are traveling north in a migrant caravan of sorts to try to settle the frozen north in the face of uniting tribes and peoples who were previously independent. The Lord's Alliance is getting very spooked about this, and in an attempt to create a buffer zone to the riches of the Sword Coast, this is the first of several expeditions planned to expand their influence. As usual, we're going to jump right in, but I will very quickly go around the table and just let everyone say hi and introduce themselves. So, Eric.
Hey, hi everybody. Hi Castle Mac family. I'm Eric. I'm Eric Vulgaris everywhere, and I'm playing Kor, who is a Dwarven Druid.
Awesome. And Aisha.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bittersweet Ari in Castle Mac Discord, and I'm playing Kyliora, Tabaxi Rogue.
Also, I'm going to go ahead and out you. This is Aisha's first time playing, so we're super excited about that. But down below me, we've got two old veterans and fellow hamburglers. We'll start with you, Shannon.
Hello, everybody. It is I, Shanologic, across all the internets, and I am playing Cole, a Fire Genasi monk, who's also a gay disaster, as always.
The best. And last but not least, my friend Adam, right here. There we go. Got it.
How's it going, everybody? I'm Adam. I'll be playing Tobias R. Stormsmith, a human ranger hailing from Waterdeep itself. You can find me mostly everywhere as the Nerdy Viking.
Awesome. And first of all, a big thank you to Chris, to, let's see who we got there, Sean, and to Wiley. We have 3 divine inspirations right now, thanks to those guys. Those are rolls that you can use to reroll any one of yours or force me to reroll anything. Thank you guys so much. That's super exciting. Okay, we're jumping right in. Here's what's happening. Each of you have been pulled from your wagons in an adventure lottery. You have been selected to be the scouts for today, as a matter of fact. We've just gotten past a horrible, terrible rain, so the caravan is moving quite slowly. The roads are just a complete disaster. They're just mud and muck, and you are just trudging through. It's absolute painful, painstaking process. Wagons are getting stuck what feels like every 60 seconds, so each of you are, in your own way, I would think, relieved to get out of this stagnant quagmire. Joining you as well from one of the other wagons is a young elf named Nocturne, and we will begin right as he is probing Cole to find more out about her background and whether or not she's going to be the best Cannonball player on the Sword Coast. And so he turns to you and says, "Well, I know, but all I'm saying is your capabilities seemed to be a cut above everyone else, and you're telling me that you had never played this game before. Are you sure you're not a plant of some variety?"
A plant?
A professional! Are you a cannonball shark? Are you hoodwinking everyone?
No. I've seen professionals, and they come in far different shapes and sizes than me. I've seen the game, never knew it had a name. Never played it before in my life.
I can't even believe it. Well, my money's on you for the big match, of course. What about you? Tobias, have you played?
I've seen it played a little in my time in Waterdeep. Never really took to it. I was trying to help my family out with stuff, but and also getting some tutelage by my grandfather. But I definitely enjoy watching it, and I gotta say, I think Cole's gonna be a very good player in these here parts.
Well, and me as well. And what about you, Master Dwarf? With your low center of gravity, I'd expect you'd be an expert at being, what do they call the position in the front that does the blocking? I'm only just learning about this wonderful game, so forgive me of my ignorance.
I wish I knew myself. I've just been kind of watching it a few times. We didn't really have it in the mountain homes. Or at least I was too busy in the clergy, you know. I didn't really have a chance to do too much extracurriculars.
Sure, no time for play. I can understand that. It's been much of my time cloistered as well. And what about you, Kyliora? Have you played? Are you interested in playing? I'm sorry, I'm just so smitten by this. I know we've been talking about this for the last 2 hours, and forgive me, but...
We played it when I was kids, but we didn't know the name, so I don't really know too much about actual, strategic things. We just did it, and that's what we did. So I have lots
Well.
of siblings, so it was easy for us.
No strategy to it. You just take the ball and you ram your way through it.
Well, it
I
was
told
fun,
you.
easy.
She's a plant.
Sounds like a very good sound strategy. I can never go wrong with. I can back that up.
Well, either way, Cole, that was positively thrilling. I had no idea. It's like watching, I don't know, some sort of arena fight, some sort of pit fight even. Ugh, I loved it. Thrilling, really.
That is nothing like a pit fight, and I can tell you that from experience.
Oh?
Yes, I spent some time in gladiatorial rings myself. And,
Oh my.
Yes.
Oh, a woman of many talents. I am impressed. Did you all know this about her?
This is news to me. I've traveled a bit. Haven't really seen my fair share of gladiatorial fights, but wouldn't peg Cole as one for it, but kind of glad to have somebody on our side that's made it through.
It's a barbaric world, really. For sport.
Did you have a stage name?
What better stage name than my real name? Cole. The
Just-
undefeated, might I add.
Okay. I thought maybe I'd have heard of you in my travels.
Oh, you haven't?
I believe I have.
I'm pretty
You're-
renowned for my expertise with a blade.
You have the unique one, right?
Yes, Yikawa.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I think I have heard of you.
Yikawa, you say? Now, I'm a bit of a blades master myself. May I take a look at it?
Sure thing, and I do like a bunch of like dramatic flips and turns with it and hand it to you. Like balancing it on one finger.
Okay, so I think Nocturne takes it from you, and while being unfamiliar with the particulars of the weapon, kind of returns a little bit with some pretty decent flourishes. Certainly not any that upstage you, but clearly knows his way around a blade as well. And as he's swinging it around, you almost feel this humming in the air, almost like a tune is ringing out from the blade as it swings around it. But he kind of quickly stops and hands it back to you and says, "That's an interesting blade. I've never seen one like it."
Oh, so you're a bard with a blade, eh? You can make it sing. Interesting.
Something like that, yes. What do you all, if you guys want to talk about anything else as you're trudging through the mud, go ahead. Otherwise, we can kind of jump right ahead, but the world is yours right now on this muddy, schlocky road. Every step, your boots just sinking in.
I guess as we're walking along, it's like Tobias is just, taking a look around, being ever observant, but it's still keeping an eye for chit chat because got to pass the time. So I guess so Core. So
Yeah.
So what brought you up this way? It's like, well, what made you leave your life to come venture into marches here?
Tobias, do me a favor and take a deep breath. Smell that air, that sense of freshness. I mean, besides the mud, which I kind of like as being a foot to the earth, but that is the real sense. And I'm totally lying to you.
So
Right.
I guess Tobias will kind of like humor him and like agree along with him. So it's he pulls his cloak up, pulls the hood up a little bit tighter around him as they're trudging along. So
Sure, the homes have plenty of ventilation, but it's nothing like this fresh air that we get to breathe here and get our feet around on this solid ground and look up at the sky. There's, us dwarves can get so peculiar about our habits that we forget to see the greater world.
I can understand that. I spent time. I was there a couple years back. I was there at the well. Did my service, and so I figured left and wanted to see a little bit of the world. Follow my grandfather's footsteps, and so. But I can definitely agree with you and taking in just an open sky and a gentle breeze and fresh air.
Tell me, Tobias, are you a religious man?
Not quite. You know, I do believe that there's something greater than us, but I like to hold beliefs to myself. And so,
Do you believe you're part of some divine plan? At least?
hey, we're all here for a reason to what we do and to why we do it. That's all what we can do. If how we go forward, what we do affects everything. If it's a plan, if it's not, or we just small pieces on a giant board, it doesn't matter. As long as we can just enjoy this life that we're having here and make friends along the way.
I take a moment, I decompress a little bit what you said, and I only take the best parts that agree with my own philosophy back. It's like, yes, I agree that we should try to make our own paths.
So heartwarming. Makes me feel all tingly inside.
And
What about you,
Aisha. Oh, go ahead.
What about you, Cole? I know you are skilled with the blade and in the arena and as well as the field. Calimball. Is that due to a faith? Do you think that is you're guided by some divine hand, or do you make your own way?
Well, I believe there must be gods. I mean, look at me. Perfection like this does not just come from earthly hands. But I believe that the choices we make, the paths we choose, are of our own design. And you mess up, that's on you. You succeed, that's on you. I believe that divines don't care much for what we have going on in this plane.
Aye. You forgive me if this is too much, but for waxing here, but you seem to walk with the fires of a forge made real. It's enamoring.
Oh, stop.
But nevertheless, I concur. We are merely alloys by the god, and it's through our actions that we are tempered.
Well, I, for one, missed libraries.
Never got along well in those. A bit too, clustered and flammable.
And I think you can see that Nocturne was, like, kind of barely paying attention, going back to a long ago question.
What about you, Kiliora? Do you spend a lot of time in libraries?
I used to. My mom was actually kind of a librarian.
Kind of a librarian.
Well, she didn't do it full time. She only did it later on in life to help out my dad when most of us were old enough. So.
Well, let me ask then: is being a librarian was that a good profession where you're from?
It's not bad. I mean, we like knowledge, so it was good for her. She didn't like people so much. We never really got along, her and I, so especially after what happened.
Well, you might be happy to know that us dwarves also value history and tradition, and our chroniclers, our annalists of histories go back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, and they all universally agree that people suck.
Well, I like treasure. That's personally what I pull towards. I've always had a knack for finding magical things, so libraries help me find magical things. Maybe you dwarf people can help me find magical things.
Oh, they're quite astute. They're quite astute.
Books are means to an end for you, I see.
And Core, as you finish that thought, up ahead, in the distance, you hear the faint, shrill sounds of women and children screaming. Sounds like they're under duress, but they're not exactly screaming in pain, but certainly being accosted. You can hear like, stop! Oh, no, get away from me!
Hark, do you hear that? It sounds like someone's struggling.
I'm already sprinting ahead, yeah.
All right, Cole, ever the Calimball lead. Go ahead. What were you going to say, Eric?
No, I was like, after her, and like follow up, that's all.
All right, all of you run forward, just pulling your boots out of the mud, every step
my
feeling like...
agility to get ahead of everybody?
Oh, absolutely. You suddenly see Caliora just right past you, Cole, almost like she's prancing on top of the mud. Clearly, I assume you're not wearing boots, right? So you're like keeping your paws like as far out of it as you possibly can. And as you round the corner, you see a large cart being pulled by a sad-looking draft horse. It's huge, but it's covered in mud and it just looks bedraggled, like it's been pulling this cart for far, far too long. And you see standing at the front of this wagon and holding a pitchfork, a fairly plain-dressed man. He's got a wide straw hat, and beside him on the other side is presumably his wife, a woman in a similarly plain dress, and she's actually holding a chair that looks like she's pulled off the back, which is now completely filled with their belongings. It looks like there's a hutch, there's a table that's upright, everything's kind of precariously tied together. And in the very back of the wagon, you see 3 small children kind of cowering and covering their heads. And as you look at what they're fending off, this man is standing and he's wielding this pitchfork with the poise of a man who has never fought for a day in his life. He's stabbing at this small creature that looks vaguely humanoid, at least from the waist up. From the waist down, it looks more like a goat. And it's kind of dancing on these hooves, and it's got these little horns that kind of turn backwards. And there's another one on the other side, similarly accosting the wife. And you all, as trained fighters, can clearly see that they're just fucking with them. And they're just like, like reaching up at them. And they have these short swords that kind of shimmer, and they're kind of stabbing at them, and they're laughing, and they're cackling. And do any of you speak Sylvan?
Nope.
I speak Elvish.
Okay, it sounds like Latin might sound to Spanish. You pick up a couple of bits and pieces here, and you really just hear the word "skin you," but they're just like "Blah, sna, blah, sna," and they're laughing, and these people are just like, "Get back, foul beast!" And the woman's like, "No, leave me alone," swinging her chair. What do you all do?
So, I guess Tobias is he'll walk up, he'll have that arrow knocked on a bow, but not drawn tight yet, but just sitting on the string, his hand holding it in, and he yells out, it's like, "Hey folks, what seems to be the trouble up here?"
When you say that, everyone turns to you and stops what they're doing. The husband, the wife, the 2 satyrs on the ground all turn and stop to you, and the satyrs look at each other like, "Yes!" And they turn and they immediately bolt and start running off the side of the road.
Oh, damn it, I used my feline agility already, otherwise I'd grab them. Anyway, I'd still dash after them.
They're moving pretty slow in the mud, and their hooves are clearly, they don't have the surface area, so they're kind of just sinking into the mud.
I would like to run after them and try to grab them.
All right, what do the rest of you do?
That sounds like a sound decision. I think Kiliora has set the pace for us, and I will. Cor will be sluggishly behind. We'll politely do a little cultural up nod to the denizens of the wagon as we journey on forth, following these pursuance.
All right, you look and you can see the woman looks so relieved. The chair she's got now down at her side, she's panting and just this given up sigh. The man is sort of looking confused but clearly thankful. As you all run after these satyrs, why don't everybody roll athletics for me? Let's see how you do. It's really just because you're slogging through this mud. It's really just a matter of athletics. Oof, okay.
Oh, I'm not good at athletics. Acrobatics.
Oh, hey, there you go. You did fine. Okay. The 3 of you just dash after these things, and they're like kind of giggling at each other, like bouncing kind of through the woods, and they seem to deliberately go towards the deepest muddy patches that they can. They go a little ways off the road. You chase them for a couple of 100 yards. And finally, you see them run, and they dive into this large tree, probably 20 feet across. And they dive kind of into the tree, and you can see there's sort of this opening, maybe only about this wide. And they kind of dive and wriggle their way in. But you guys have caught up with him. Tobias, you're in the very back, like. In fact, what happened is you stepped in a particularly deep puddle of mud, and you pulled your foot out, and your boot was left behind. And you look back, and you just see the mud into Das' boot.
I think Tobias just reaches, tries to. It's like, I'll be right with you guys. Hold on. He grabs his boot out and kind of dumps as much mud before he grimaces as he pulls it back on. So.
Core takes his cap off and looks at this tree, kind of stunned and amazement by the size of it. And he goes like, "By Dergegan's damnable dome, the size of this thing!"
And as you look in, you can now see these little hands and like the light reflecting off these shining eyes as the two of them are kind of looking out, and they're kind of looking at you all. You're only about, 30 feet away, I think, before you guys kind of stop. And they kind of keep looking at each other, and you can hear them like, no.
I will make a sign at them.
Okay.
I'll take some of the mud, and I'm going to draw a little like circle around me, and kind of do maybe like 3 or a couple of points on it. And effectively, Mac, what I'm doing here is I want to do some sort of like druid craft, being like, hey, maybe you can talk to me, right? Though I can't speak with them, like I don't know Sylvan. I want, maybe they know druidic at being a creature of the forest like this, or something like that, being like, oh, hey, maybe we can talk to them.
Perfect.
Right.
Okay, you draw that, and they kind of look, and one of them kind of scratches their head and looks at the other one, and the other one's like, ah! And it kind of reaches out a little bit. You can just see the fur from below, and it points up like a couple of feet above it, and you can see now this small carved symbol into the trunk, and it is Druid Craft for Home. And it kind of points at that and is like, eh.
Underneath it is another symbol that says "Live, Laugh, Love."
Yeah, exactly.
like decorated.
Says, home is where the heart is. It says "Laugh, Love, Lindy." It so it kind of points at that and then makes a shooing motion to you all, like,
like get away from home.
Yeah, it's like go away.
Okay.
Clearly, like the universal symbol of like, leave us alone now. But
this
again, you guys just saw them, accosting this family with blades drawn, I might add.
Yeah. It looks like these pranksters can give it, but cannot take it. They've retreated to their home. As I use my cap as sort of like.
I shouldn't give them a little shaking so they don't do it again.
I'm not sure.
Kind of pull out my claws. You sure?
Yeah, they kind of shrink in a little bit when they see you, like.
Well, the people they accosted. Well, the people they accosted don't really mean anything to me. So, perhaps just scaring them off is a good deed. I could totally be persuaded to do something else. Depends on how you all feel.
I kind of walk on up closer to the home, and I'm like holding out rations. I'm like, "Yeah, come here, you weird little shits."
They kind of shrink in a little bit, and again, one's like, "Grash, grash," like just grash.
Little bastards.
All right. That's it. I go and I try to pull one of them out of the tree.
Okay. So I think that's 100% fine, but let's roll initiative just to see what happens here. So hold on, let me bring it up. Let me clear that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you all know, for those of you who aren't Roll20 experts like Eric here, you will need to click on your character before rolling. And I'm sorry I lost you there, some of you. I can re-add you real quick. I was clearing the old ones.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Cole, Tobias, Kyliora, you rolled. Okay, cool.
I like this better.
Okay, and go ahead. Who are we missing there? Eric, if you wouldn't mind rolling, or I'll just add you.
Oh, yeah, if you add me,
I'll
I
add you.
Yeah.
Yep, I'll add you.
I was too quick on the draw.
Nope, sorry. I was too slow, actually. Okay, there we go. And let me just roll for these little guys. Whoops. I need an extra L in there.
Wow.
Okay, Tobias, you just come running up with all the momentum behind you. Your foot is just like getting encased in mud inside your boot, and every step you take, it's kind of like up out of the edges as you like mash it further inside. But as you approach Tobias, you see Cole kind of coming towards this tree, her hand out. You see them still like, rush, run! But it is your turn.
Yeah, so all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna knock an arrow. I'm gonna draw it tight, but I'm gonna hold my action to, I guess, to when if I see the satyrs just do anything. I guess like they would seem like harmful. Like if they try to draw a weapon on Cole, I'll hold my action to then. But as I'm drawing, I'll be like, I reckon you best not think about doing anything unwise there, partners.
All right, you do that. Cole, as you're approaching, you see one of them, you hear some scrambling, and it pulls out these little pan pipes, and it's like it plays out this little tune, and the other one looks at you, and its eyes go big, like these big puppy dog eyes, and it's like... And it is trying to persuade you to not attack it. And I'm not going to make you roll for this, but essentially, it's very persuasive. As the music sort of washes over you, it's very persuasive. I'll let you make a will save, pretty low DC, if you'd like to see if you completely get out of the haze. But I'll let you pick how you respond to that. But it is it's essentially the Friends cantrip, more or less, being applied here.
So what, like a wisdom save?
Yeah, go ahead and roll wisdom. Okay, so I'll let you decide how exactly that plays out, but you look at this little guy, and you hear this beautiful music, and you think, what a sweet little thing. What a sweet little creature that's making these big puppy dog eyes at you, just like...
Aw,
But-
I have no idea what you're saying.
Kyliora, it is your turn. You see this. You're not similarly affected by the magic, but you do see the one kind of nervously, like trying to play this flute, but also shaking a little bit out of fear, and the other one is just looking at Cole like...
I'm going to run past Cole and just kind of smack her a bit, being like, yo, what the hell? And run to the satyr with the flute and pull him out.
Okay, all right. So I'll let your interact be, you walk by Cole and just kind of slap her, and then you run up, and to try to grab the one with the flute, go ahead and roll me opposed athletics versus his acrobatics.
Oh, that's terrible.
All right, you run up and you reach in, and as you do, it moves with a quickness you just weren't expecting, and your hand kind of reaches into this tree, and this little hand like slaps it, and it's like
Little rat bastard.
Salacious Crumb style laughing.
Yeah, no.
They're maybe about 4 feet tall, so they're not like tiny, but they're not,
Yeah.
humanoid height necessarily. And Kyliora, you're kind of standing there, and it's now stopped playing this music, and they're kind of laughing at you. Cole, it is your turn.
Alright. First, I turn to Kyliora, and I'm like, okay, first off, you have to at least take me out on a date before you can knock me around like that. Secondly...
Oh my god, Jonathan, I'm sorry, I just saw that. Guys, you have like 15 inspiration dice right now, so please use them up. Thank you, Jonathan, I didn't even see that.
So I'm gonna try and
sorry,
grab
Shannon.
the one that was cute puppy dog eyes.
Okay, go ahead. Same thing. Athletics versus its acrobatics.
Oh.
Oh yeah, it's like and you just reach in and kind of grab it and pull it out. And as you do, it's kind of looking at you, and you can feel its little body visibly shaking, and you feel something on your boot, and you look down, and it's just urinating all over your boot.
Oh. Listen here, you little shits. You can't just go around torturing people on the road. You understand?
It's like... And the other one is shaking, holding its pipe, and it reaches out a bag towards you, like a little pouch. And it's just shaking, and it's like not making eye contact with you.
I let go of its little friend, and I take the bag.
You can clearly feel coins inside.
Aw, that's sweet of you, but did you take these from the people?
It kind of looks at you like, clearly not knowing what you're saying.
Yeah, well, that buys my silence. Let's move.
Core, it is your action if there's anything else you'd like to do. You see this one on the ground now. It has soiled both itself and Cole. The other one in the tree, shaking, holding its little pipes.
I looked at the party and I saw that, you know, I have a nose for when gold's around. Or at least coinage of some kind, and based on the clink in your hand, I tell the group, well, it was a pity that those people lost their gold here to these creatures. It'd be even more pitiful to give it back to them. Do we agree? Do we agree that it went missing?
I think you're muted there, Aisha. I think you're muted.
I eyes him a little waringly. It's like just being one to not turn down an opportunity, but being one to not take from somebody's misfortune. Be like, yes, it would be a pity, but they don't know how much was missing. So I think possibly maybe we give some back and keep a founder's fee.
Why not the whole thing? We make our own path in this world, do we not? We weren't the ones who stole it from them.
We do make our own path, and then I start walking off with the gold back towards the caravan.
Okay, yeah. I'm totally open for it being given back to them, by the way. That's not a problem.
All right, you trudge your way back through the mud, and you find that Nocturne has stayed behind, and he's talking to them a little bit. And he kind of turns to you all, and he's like, oh, did you deal with those wretched creatures? Satyrs, I think they were.
I believe we did. Cole might need to get a little bit of a outfit change, but I don't think they should be bothering anybody for the time being.
He says, well, you all really ought to hear these poor people's story. I think Wayland, at least, would be sympathetic to their plight. Rancha, why don't you tell them what you just told me? And the man kind of shifts in his in the wagon a little bit. The kids in the back are being consoled, and he kind of looks at you and he's like, well, what's there to say? We come from Scorton. You heard of Scorton? Down east a ways, little village. You've probably never heard of it, but as you can probably surmise, well, we were farmers. Best little place in the world to live. I always said, didn't I say that, honey? And she kind of shoots him a glance like, get on with it. Like, clearly this is a marriage that's long in the tooth. And he says, well, here's what happened. About a week ago or so, believe it or not, a giant came to the village. A giant. And, God, he showed up and said, hey, I want you to gather up all the food. I'm going to come back in 2 days and I'm going to eat it all up, and you better satisfy me. Well, what were we to do? With the fall of Golden Leaf, none of us are fighters. There's no adventurers nearby. So, we did what he asked. We made a big pile. I mean a big pile of food. Half again as high as a man. Wide as a well. It's all we could spare. Tons of food. And just like he said, Igor Bone Cruncher, he called himself, showed up 2 days later. Do you know what he did? He sat there. He ate every last morsel of food in that pile. And then he demanded more. So we did what we could. We scrounged up all we could and brought it to him in barrow after barrow. Everything. Ripe food, unripe food, rotten food. Still wasn't enough. He bellowed about, started getting cranky. He grabbed 4 of the fattest farmers I knew and mashed them right there, put them in a bag, smashed them up and slurped them up like pudding. Well, needless to say, at that sight we ran. We ran for the hills. We were lucky to get out. Not so many others were. Well, we're on the road now heading to visit my brother, Adler. He's in Frickley. But we lost everything. So here we are.
I'm sorry to hear that. Giants can be very temperamental. You might meet some good ones. You might meet some bad ones. I keep hearing stories from the caravan. Waylon keeps talking about this half giant, Kothis. Something about a very good man, but seems giants do get a bad reputation. And as I'm talking to him, I'm gonna slip him like 3 gold into his pocket without him knowing.
You want to roll sleight of hand?
Yeah.
So Nocturne sort of turns to you all, and clearly he's under the spell of this story. How'd you do there?
It was a 9.
He kind of looks down at you and looks back up at you and has kind of a thankful look on his face, but doesn't say anything. Clearly realizes you were trying to keep it quiet. Nocturne says, well, as I was telling the family here, I could return to the caravan and tell them that you were going to escort them the rest of the way. They tell me Frickley's only about 4 hours, and it's on the way, so surely we could give them some peace of mind. You know that Wayland wouldn't mind a bit. I'll relay the news happily. The caravan can't be but so far behind us at this point.
I think that's amenable. What say y'all?
I'm gonna insight check the man's story. I don't know
go
if
ahead.
I'm buying it.
Insight it.
I'd like to help you because as a dwarf, I've heard plenty of stories of giants. Is this something that giants do? Do
Yeah, go ahead and roll it.
you have advantage?
Yeah, go ahead and roll again.
Right.
Okay, well, this is what you take from that. The look on the children's faces. How distraught they look. How hastily packed they look. It looks pretty legit. Nothing really jumps out at you as being a scam of any kind. But maybe you still have your slight hesitation. But they certainly look frazzled. They look fried. So either they're doing a very good job of putting on a performance, or it's true.
Well, I wouldn't mind escorting them a ways, and I hand the husband the money. Or I start to, and then I look at the wife and I'm like, actually, you should probably hang on to this.
She's like, oh, thank you so much. And he kind of looks at that and he's like, oh, thank you. Well, we had assumed it was gone. And she's like, yes, we had assumed it was taken by those creatures. So if you escort us, we'll give it to you. Does that sound fair?
Honest work for honest pay is always fine by me.
My brother-in-law has done quite well, hasn't he, darling? And he's like, yeah, of course. And she's like, I'm sure we could even scrounge up a bit more if you got us there successfully.
I reckon we can do that. Yeah, it'd be no trouble, and we can make our way. Hopefully, get off this muddy path and get into something a little bit more firm footing.
He looks down at your boot, now completely covered and caked in mud, and he's like, oh, it must be dreadful. Here, I'll even offer up my seat on the wagon. And he looks at his wife, and she's like, mm-mm. And she kind of just leans down. He's like, well, I'll offer up my seat to you, sir.
No, that won't be necessary. That won't be necessary, because while you had a mistaken or unfortunate event happen in your life, consider this a small blessing. You have 4 very accomplished, professional bodyguards, escorts for this. A blessing.
He's like, oh, thank you. And the wife, she's kind of holding the kids who are now all checking you guys out. They're all kind of looking at Cole's cool hair, and they're looking at Kyliora. You know, you guys are exotic to them, right? They don't frequently see dwarves, maybe, but they certainly have probably never seen a tabaxi, and almost certainly never seen a fire genasi, or a genasi of any kind. And she kind of smiles and says, truly, Shantia must be smiling upon us this day. Especially given everything. Well, these are our children. This is Roto, and he's like, "Hi." It's like, and this is Lyra, and she hides in her mom's dress. And this young boy right here is Alexander, and he's very small, doesn't seem to speak, but kind of looks up at you guys and is playing with some blocks.
Perfect. You all look of fighting age. They could help us.
She kind of smiles, and Roto kind of puffs his chest a little bit and laughs a little bit. Nocturne says, all right, well,
that wasn't a joke.
yeah, she assumes it's a joke, but you're really like, what?
Yeah.
They look tall enough. All right, Nocturne is, well, I'll inform Hagrina. All right, good luck to everyone. We'll see you soon. And in fact, you see him cast a spell and starts running very quickly back the way he came, almost hopping across the mud. Some might say he makes an expeditious retreat. All right, go ahead.
That gentleman definitely, he seems, he's a little book smart, but he seems like a good one to keep around. Yeah. It's Tobias says that to the core as they watch Nocturne take off.
Aye. And now I've opened me big mouth and I've told them that we are accomplished and professional escorts, and I hope you don't prove me all a liar.
It's Tobias, he grins. It's like, don't worry, it's like I've seen my fair share of parts, ever since leaving fighting at the well. It's like he kind of pulls back his hood and you see like a trio of scars across his left eye. It's like kind of ran into a young owlbear while helping out a village and
in Waterdeep.
Oh, this was a little bit outside of Waterdeep. After I left, kind of just took a tour around the countryside to find my way, and the little owlbear was terrorizing the folks. But let's just say he got a couple of lucky scratches in. But
is it a snow owlbear?
Probably a little smaller, a little young one. But the folks now have a nice. The bear has a nice new pelt for the town hall table.
Oh, well, that's nice. We didn't have to hear your whole life story, but that's wonderful.
The kids, at least the two older ones, seem pretty into it though. Like, they're like, oh, you owl bear. They're whispering to each other. The trek to Frickley doesn't take long. Despite the mud, it takes about 6 hours. The sun is still in the sky, but it's getting on to be late afternoon, probably about 3-4 o'clock. And you approach this village, clearly an agricultural village. This is a small collection of buildings here in the center. Not much to look at. There seems to be a single inn. But as you approach, the family is silent, and they're casting each other nervous glances. And you all can see that the place looks abandoned. And as you approach, you see there's a gate, sort of just as you approach the center of town. This gate is closed, and it looks like it's been hastily repaired. And there's rope lashing pieces of wood to it that are kind of hanging. And I mean, it just looks like something bad happened to that gate. But it has been repaired.
Quick question. Who among the companions here, not necessarily the player characters here, but the rest of the caravan that we're escorting, who looks the most scared?
Good question. Probably the children, mostly because they're super confused.
Of the children, who's specifically?
The daughter, Lyra.
Okay, cool. I might go over to Lyra, and I lick my thumb, and I pull out a little dried piece of sage, and I give it to Lyra and say, Lyra, bite on this. It'll keep you strong. She's brave like your father.
She looks at you, looks at her mom, and her mom kind of smiles at her and nods, and she does, and kind of looks up.
Cast
and
resistance. Yeah.
Nice. Cool. She gives a smile, and as clearly something within has changed, and she feels this boost within her. And yeah, she looks at you, and her eyes are kind of shining as she looks up at you, and a little bit confused and simultaneously bolstered. You do see fear seems to melt away from her, and kind of looks back at her mom and smiles a little bit, and pulls away from her just a little bit, looking to gain a little bit of independence. So they pull this tired-looking draft horse up to the fence, and the man, what is his name? I can't remember his name off the top of my head. It is Randra. He climbs off, and he's like, "Oh, something's wrong here. Something's wrong." And he goes up to the gate and kind of fiddles with it. It opens easily. It's not locked or anything like that. He kind of pushes it aside, and he rubs his head and kind of looks around, and he goes, "Hello? Hello, is there anyone?" And after a time, you see the door on the single inn open, and a face pokes out. And as you all look in, you in fact see lots of faces inside, all sort of looking past the door. And he kind of looks at you all. He's like, "I don't know." And a person steps out. This young woman, she's wearing leathers and furs. She's got bright red curly hair down past her shoulders. And she kind of steps out. She says, "Well, who goes there?" And he says, "It's Randra. I'm here to see my brother Adler." She says, "Adler took off when the giant came." And Randra's like, "Oh, gods."
It's that Tobias will speak up. He's like, "You all know what the name of this giant that came by through your parts here?"
"Of course I do. Couldn't forget it. Bone Cruncher," he said.
Seems he's making his ways around this parts here. So, what did he have you all do? What did he threaten you all with?
She says, "Well, he wants us to gather food for him. I'm afraid we don't have time for visitors, and the inn's certainly closed. So, unless you think you can help us, I'd best be moving along." And as she says that, a small, rotund man with kind of an upturned nose pushes past her, and he kind of hails at you, and he's like, "Oh, are you adventurers? Would you be willing to help us?" And she kind of eyes you guys up a little bit.
I go up to the lady, and I, like, clasp her hand in mine, and I'm like, "We would be delighted to help you folks. To let such beauty be destroyed by a giant would be absolutely criminal."
But my fiery friend forgets to say that we are also already employed as caravan guards for the moment. We cannot have two jobs at the same time. As I kind of look at the family to give us permission to.
They kind of hop down. The kids are getting off and stretching their legs, and he's like, "It looks like he's just gonna go on, leaving a path of destruction. If you can help him, please do. We can't go on further. This horse needs a rest. We need a rest. I think we'll have to hold up here if that's okay." And the woman, she kind of folds her arms, and she's like, "Well, sure, I guess so."
Well then, the only thing we need to discuss is price.
The man's like, "Oh, yes, of course. As it happens, I have 7 of these pearls. They were my mother's, God rest her soul, but I'm willing to part with them in order to, put an end to this nightmare." And the woman kind of folds her arms. She's like, "You didn't even ask them if they're capable. You didn't even try to bargain. You could have offered half that and seen where they went. He's a feckin' idiot." And he's like, he kind of turns red-faced.
Yeah. And shame on you, man, for offering up your own family heirlooms in a time like this. You should have more pride.
He kind of looks down at his feet, and she kind of makes eyes with you and kind of rolls her eyes, clearly annoyed with him. And she says, "Well..."
That said, we would gladly take the 7 pearls.
He kind of
No,
nods.
we won't. We're not taking the pearls. We're going to help
You
these.
and your damnable sense of justice.
We're going to help these people out of the kindness of our hearts, and I'll buy you a beer. How's that sound?
He looks up at you, clutching the pearls, eyes kind of watery, and she kind of looks at you up, and she's like, maybe you're a feckin' idiot too. Well, y'all might as well come in. We can tell you at least what's gone on. Some of us want to stay, some of us want to fight. I'm Tastra. Nice to meet you. Your
Hi,
names
Tastra.
are?
Don't worry about my name. Just put my name under the Fiery Ones tab over there. I give a nice little smile to Cole.
So, as I walk
Out of your
in,
good hearts, right?
Say that again, Cor. Tobias, go ahead.
guys, as Tobias walks by, it's like Tobias Stormsmith. It's a pleasure to meet your acquaintance here, ma'am, and well, I'll be glad and happy to help you out any way that my companions see fit.
Oh, sure. Well, welcome. And what about you? And she kind of looks at the tabaxi like, oh, feck me, a tabaxi. I've never seen one. That's gorgeous. Can I?
Okay, fine.
She kind of scratches behind your ears a little bit. You can decide whether you like that or hate it.
My tail kind of flicks. Nobody knows if it's an irritation or pleasure.
She kind of pulls her hand back and she's like, kind of pretty excited about it. She says, well, you just showed up in the middle of us discussing what we think we need to do. As I said, I'm Tastra. I'm one of the hunters here. Frickley's known both for agriculture and for trapping. Some of the finest furs come from this region, you know. And you all enter this tavern and you look around, you see a lot of quite a lot of people. All the faces look similarly bedraggled. They're clearly scared. They're not sure what to do. And you can, right off the bat, essentially tell there are two different groups of people here. They almost seem standoffish towards each other. It's almost palpable. You can clearly see trappers who are all dressed like Tastra, and you can clearly see farmers. And standing in front of the farmers is a tall, gaunt man with long gray hair pulled back and these thick, bushy eyebrows, clean shaven, and his face is less sallow. His cheeks are kind of sunken in, and he's very tall and gaunt. And then, of course, the small, rotund man who was offering up the pearls. And he says, and my name's Piotr Stoutpipe. I run this inn. I don't know if I'll have any customers left after all this, but this is my inn, so welcome. Drinks would be on me, of course, if you're at least willing to hear us out. And you all walk in, and Tastra kind of looks at this tall farmer man who's got his arms crossed and looking at you all like a little bit disgusted. And she says, well, Gregor, these adventurers, they're here to help. I think we should stay and fight. They look quite capable. What do you think? Do you think you can handle a giant?
Well, I may be a feckin' idiot, but I do believe I can.
She kind of smiles at you at that.
Tobias, it's like he's pulled up a chair and he's already taken off his boots and scooping out the mud out of them. And he pipes up. He's like, giants, they're a speciality around these parts.
Are they? That's interesting.
In fact, I think my friend over here, as I like elbow Tobias here, was just talking about how look at his face. He had a skirmish with a giant early on. Has kind of a personal vendetta about him, against him. Couldn't have picked better adventurers.
And I speak out in giant a couple words and to back up Kor's story.
See.
She kind of nods and smiles and turns towards who she called Grigor and kind of looks at him, and he's like, it makes no sense. We should flee while we can. You saw what that giant's capable of. He's massive. You think these adventurers stand a chance against him? No way in hell. Not them, not all of the hunters, not all of these farmers wielding pitchforks. We'll die down to the last one of us. What we should do is pack up the wagons while there's still daylight and make for Neverwinter. We'll die here.
It's Gregor. Is that Gregor, right?
That's right.
So what would stop Bone Crusher from following you? Yeah, it seems like he's making his way clear cutting through these lands. So what do you think is gonna just stop at Neverwinter? You know, I've seen giants get hungry before, and I've seen what they can do in a fight. But I know that they are certainly when they set their mind to something, they make sure they take care of it, especially when they believe that what's theirs is theirs.
When you say that, you see Tastra kind of fold her arms. She smiles at you and then looks back at Grigor like, eh? Like, gotcha. Clearly has that kind of look on her face. And he's like, you've got a death wish. We've been farming these lands for generations. You're gonna die here? Over this? Over grain?
Packing up makes a lot of sense. Tell me, are there any other towns in the area?
He says, well, there's... What was the name of that town? Skoda, I think?
Is Skoda the name of...
Skorton, it was Skorton. He's like, well, this Skorton. And when he says that, you clearly see the people you're traveling with, like, shake their heads.
So Skorton's been ransacked. Basically, okay, actually introduce in character. Because if there was another town nearby, it reminds me of an old story about outrunning a bear. You don't have to outrun the bear, you just have to outrun the slowest friend. If we could perhaps persuade the ogre to attack another town, that would give you enough time to get away. Worst case scenario.
You say that
worst case scenario, we're dead, so it doesn't really matter. But you know what I mean.
He kind of looks down at the ground, clearly a little bit ashamed at the implication of, dooming another town.
Yeah,
and he's
would you doom another town for your own stuff?
Right.
Salvation.
And you see some of the farmers who are kind of behind him. They kind of start murmuring to each other as well. And then the tavern owner speaks up and he clears his throat. He's like, well, there was one other possibility that no one has been willing to accept thus far or mention. And when he says that, you all catch that there is some unspoken thing here because Tastra kind of rolls her eyes and leans back against the wall. And he's like, we could speak to Rosamund. We could speak to Rosamund Giant Slayer. It seems obvious now, doesn't it? And they're all kind of start grumbling. And Grigor's like, she wouldn't even give us the time of day. She'd as soon run a sword through our bellies and hear our plight. And even Tastra's like, he does have a point. When's the last time anyone here has even spoken to her? And he's kind of like, well, it seems so blatantly obvious. He turns to you all, she's like, Rosamund, she lives far on the outskirts of town. An old hermit now, no one's seen her in years. But she apparently slew a frost giant once in his lair, and made off quite handsomely, I might add. She keeps to herself and is peculiar in her way, but am I insane, or does this seem like it's at least worth pursuing?
Well, I would be skeptical of any frost giant slayer who lives in a shack outside of this place. No offense, of course.
Well, you won't offend me. It just seems like it's has the potential for a good return. Maybe she's willing to help. It's in her...
Go ahead.
Why has nobody tried before now?
Tastra's like, well, it's because the last time anyone approached her, tract of land, they got peppered with arrows, threatened with drunken, angry shouts. So we pretty much decided to just leave her be. She made it pretty clear she had nothing to do with us, wanted nothing to do with us, and, well, I don't know. It's been, 6 years since anyone's even seen her? She hasn't come to town.
So you fear being peppered by arrows than being smashed into pudding. Interesting. You humans never cease to amaze me.
Tastra kind of looks
right?
at the
I
ground.
elbow Cole.
Tastra kind of, looks at the ground. She's like, that's a pretty good fucking point. And the,
someone who's named Giant Slayer, who's known for slaying giants, and you're not even willing to risk a couple arrows to the bum to go and get her.
But they're ready to risk their pearls. Don't forget that.
For us, because we walked right to them.
It's a teachable moment.
Bums aren't replaceable. Pearls are. And some of the farmers laugh at that a little bit. Breaks the tension a tiny bit.
Again, with your lack of any sanctimony about your family heirlooms, it's very disturbing to me.
He's kind of like, well, I'm not a sentimental man, especially if it means it could save my life. What are a few pearls? I'm not going to wear them, and I'm long beyond wedding age, I'm afraid, and I have no one to pass them to.
I storm over to him and grab him by like the scruff of his shirt. I say, listen to me, boy. Us dwarves, we would die before we see anything of our heirlooms ever sacrilege like this. You pull yourself together.
He kind of gulps hard, like, yes, sir. And puts them in his pocket pretty gingerly and pats it while making eye contact with you.
Yeah.
And Tastra's like, well, let's just hypothetically say that she was willing to help us. Would you stay then, Gregor? Knowing her past, knowing how capable she must be, and knowing that we've got these adventurers on our side. And he kind of turns to the other farmers, and you see some kind of nods, a couple of shrugs, and he's like, well, I suppose if you could talk her into coming back and helping us, we might as well stand our ground here. And when he says that, the hunters all, like, some of them kind of like, yeah! And some of the farmers like, okay. But they look a little less excited.
Excellent, because Kiliora over here is a skilled diplomat. Isn't that right, Kiliora?
Sure, why not?
See?
I can get into places, so at least I could get to her face.
Well, that might be necessary. Well, then, it's decided. The four of you will accompany me to Rosamund Giant Slayer's shack. And we'll try to convince her to come and help us and fight Bone Cruncher, who's coming tomorrow. Or so he says. And it sounds like he keeps his word, and she casts a glance at the family, kind of still awkwardly hanging out in the corner.
Well, I'm up for an adventure. Lead the way.
It's like, all right. Well, then off we should go. Does anyone need a drink before we go? Because I sure feckin' do. And she goes over and pours her own, gulps it completely down, slams it down.
Tobias takes one as well. It's, he raises his glass. It's like, to new friends, new allies. Hopefully we get the best of this Bone Crusher, and you guys can go about and have a better day and a better life, better week. Yeah.
Core honors your toast, but
chucks it back.
Water. Core doesn't drink; he only drinks water.
I chug like 2 beers. I'm gonna need it.
And I think you guys are kind of sitting at the bar, like, drinking these beers, and everyone is just kind of standing. Like, nobody else is participating other than Tastra. People are just kind of, like, looking at each other, like, just a little bit awkward. But finally she finishes, and she does the old, like, all right. Well, we might as well set out while there's still daylight. We should be able to make it there and back just before dawn. The sun's down.
I mean, she's cooperative.
Unfeckin' likely. But we might as well see. And
Well,
with that... Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, sounds like fun.
And with that, you all set off, following Tastra, a skilled hunter, as she pulls a longbow down from the some hangers in the side by the entrance of the inn, pulls it down, restrings it, stalks off into the forest. You all follow her. You quickly find clearly a game trail, some very narrow, couple inches wide kind of path through the undergrowth. And with that, we're going to take a break, everybody. We'll be back in just about 10 minutes, and we will have a conversation with Rosamund the Giant Slayer.
Awesome.
All right, be right back.
Right.
Cool.
All right, thanks for hanging out through the break, everybody. We're back. I am now going to go around the table, let people introduce themselves again, say where they're at from the interwebs, and generally talk a little bit about their characters at this point. Hopefully we've had an opportunity to show rather than tell, but here's a good kind of point to recap. So why don't we go the opposite direction this time and start with you down there, Mr. Adam Tobias Stormsmith.
All right, I am Adam. You can find me on Twitter as Nerdy Viking, mostly everywhere, like the Discord, the Nerdy Viking, Twitch, Nerdy Viking, yeah, because I'm just a Nerdy Viking instead. But Tobias, he's a ranger, you know. After the battle, the epic battle at the Well of Dragons, you know, he's come back home to Waterdeep, and Mom and Dad are still running their general store, but he does not want to just sit still. He wants to see the world. He wants to follow in his grandfather's footsteps, and so sets out. Here's about a caravan of adventurers heading north for to help a young lord retake a keep, and he figured, why not?
Cool, like it. All right, and how about Cole? This is your second time out on the marches.
Hi, everybody. I'm Shannon, Channellogic across all the internets, and I'm playing Cole, who likes two things. She likes fighting, and she likes women. And doing those two things just makes her happy.
I love it. Cole's wonderful. And Aisha, this way.
I don't know where I am.
First time out with the marches. So happy to have you.
First time ever. Anyway, hi,
No
I'm
one would
Aisha.
know.
Thank you. I'm at Bittersweet Ari most places. In Castle Mac Discord. I'm not really anywhere. This is my first game. I'm playing Kyliora, who's a rogue thief, and she's kind of happy-go-lucky, likes treasure, and is from a large family, so she's pretty easygoing.
Sweet. And last but not least, Mr. Eric joining us for the first time as Core.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Eric. I'm Eric Vulgaris everywhere. I'm a Roll20's analyst, as well as a streamer, role-playing game person online. And this is also, this is my first time on a Castle Mac stream, but we have a lot of mutual friends, and I want to do a quick shout out for Castle Mac's Waterdeep game. It's super good.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. I have a huge surprise coming for everybody that I really, really want to spoil, but for fear of them watching this, I don't want to say anything, but hang loose. 2 weeks, I have something very big. All right, without further ado, we will jump right in. Tastra leads you all through these winding trails through the wilderness. You would be completely turned around, but she clearly knows exactly where she's heading, has no issue whatsoever. You see a couple of deer in a clearing. She kind of stops and pauses. Clearly her instincts are to take the shot while she can, as it's getting to be fall, but she kind of shakes her head and curses under her breath and continues on. Finally, you all follow for some time a small stream, small and shallow. She kind of turns and leads up it, and she kind of stops as you guys approach this, what looks like a ruined tower. Off in the distance, you can kind of see the rocks have all crumbled, but it's long since been a ruin, because you can see the plant growth has pretty much taken over all of these bricks, these big white stone bricks that have collapsed. But you can see that there's a circular structure and a couple of potentially outlying walls. But the peculiar thing is, in the center of this tower, in the center of this circle, is a large slate gray stone that juts about 35 feet into the sky and almost looks like it fell there. Like, it almost looks like a shipwreck with the bow of the ship sticking out of the earth. Just looks incredibly strange. And she kind of watches, looks at that, and she's like, that's different. Haven't seen that before. And as she says that, you all hear this lilting song on the breeze, this
I immediately eat a piece of sage.
Can I first have everybody please make me a wisdom saving throw?
Yeah, that's fine. Wisdom saving throw, correct?
Yes, sir.
Damn.
Well, that seems pretty good. Oh, well, shoot, you guys did pretty darn good there. But, unfortunately, Tastra does not do so good. As she's kind of crouching, she hears this song. She stands up and her bow drops to her side, and she just starts walking forward. Can
I grab her and pull her back?
Well, what we're going to go ahead and do is let everyone roll initiative, if you don't mind, please. And let me show you where she is. Oh, where's her token? I lost it. Oh well, we're just going to use that for now. I'm not going to deal with it. All right. So, Core, you do in fact get to act first as Tastra takes her first step forward, and you can see the stream kind of cuts right by this tower. For those of you back home, I'm going to give you a quick pan of the map, as here's this stream looking more to the north. You can see this wall, and there in the center, this massive rock that is just sticking up and out of it and is extremely high, and this lilting woman's voice singing on the wind.
Tastra, what are you doing, you mad woman? As I run above her and try to like hold her back and pull out some sage to give her.
Okay.
But I'm gonna probably have to spend my action holding her back first before I can cast resistance on her.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna treat it like a grapple. So just go ahead and use your athletics. I'm gonna give you advantage because she's not necessarily resisting. She's certainly not against you, but she's also not trying to be.
Mm-hmm. That's generous. But I have advantage.
Okay. You try to grab her first, and she kind of pushes past you, almost pushes you away, but you redouble your efforts and kind of get a good hold on one of the leather straps holding some of the leather armor in place and kind of pull her to you. And she looks at you kind of wide-eyed, kind of disgusted, and looks back towards this rock and is like trying to push away from you and continue moving forward. Kyliora, you are up next.
What's the tree coverage like around here?
Pretty much as you see it. There's some trees to the right, some little trees kind of on the other side of the ruined tower. But unfortunately, it's been cleared. Right, there was clearly a tower here some many eons ago, but the no trees have really grown up to replace the position that it once held.
Figures. Okay. How far away is this rock? Pretty far away, huh?
Yeah, if you can click the little circle that looks like it has a ruler in it to measure.
Oh yeah, that's true. Aha, there we go. Where are we? Okay, that's far. Good question. Okay. I am going to, I guess, use my feline agility to dash. I don't know.
Okay.
Closer.
And yeah, the stream is shallow enough. It's not even difficult ground. You just can. It's like ankle deep. Actually, this area kind of over here, that kind of part that looks like an indentation. Yeah. That would be difficult going just because it's a little deeper.
Okay. I'm gonna go to this. There's a wall. The walls are actual walls.
Yes, yeah, so, and they're only a couple of feet high, but that'd be at least difficult to clamber over. They're probably between 4 and 6 feet high. You know, there's like that interlocking brickwork, and plenty of the bricks have fallen down. The ground around it is more just mounds where it's grown over the brick completely.
Okay, I'll dash to the wall, and I will just kind of ready my action in case anything happens.
Okay, are you dashing or using your feline agility?
I'm using my feline agility.
Okay, all right. Okay, it's cool. Go ahead and make me a perception check. This isn't your action or anything. Just
yep,
you know,
absolutely.
As you're looking at this rock.
Yep, definitely. Perception.
Okay, you kind of scan up the rock, hearing this song that's coming down off it almost as you get closer. It almost feels like waves coming down from the top of this rock. You can almost feel it trying to lull you, almost like it's tugging at your consciousness. And you look up and you can see these bits of straw kind of around the edges of the top of this rock. Tobias, it's your turn.
All right, so I guess Tobias is he's looking around. He watches Cor run up and restrain Tastra, and he's gonna, being an ever vigilant cat ranger he is, he's gonna basically draw an arrow, knock it on the string, but not gonna draw it tight yet. But he's gonna walk up and take a look at the I guess the big jutting rock there. So
Okay.
he's gonna move right about here, and then he's gonna I guess I'll investigate the rock a little bit.
All right, go ahead and roll perception. I'll let you roll with advantage. It sounds like that's your action to kind of give it a good look.
Yeah.
Okay.
So perception.
Oh, very good. As you look, you kind of also catch this straw on the edges, and you see it kind of move, and you look, and for a second, you almost see the forehead kind of tilt up, and you see these eyes, and they kind of lock with yours before pulling down. Looks like a woman's hair, based on your perception roll. Looks like a woman up there.
All right.
On Tastra's turn, she's actually going to try to break away from you, but I am going to continue to give you advantage, Core, only because she's trying, but she's not really trying that hard. She's sort of pushing against you somewhat weakly. So if you wouldn't mind, yeah, she's trying to get past you, and she's almost singing along now. You almost hear her harmonizing with this song, that she's just kind of singing back, trying to push at you, not even looking at you, almost reacting like you're not even really there.
I'm like, stop, you darned fool, stop.
Cole, that'd be your turn.
Alright. I'm just going to...
Cole, make me a perception check real quick.
Alright.
This is a freebie. Okay. Nothing. You don't notice anything strange.
I'm gonna... Oh, I'm clicking on the wrong thing. I'm gonna move over to Kyliora and just...
Okay, so that was a dash. You dashed to get there?
Yeah.
Cool. So you come running, splash through the water, kind of take up position next to her at the wall, and you can clearly see her looking up, and I think she makes a quick motion, and you also look up, and you can see that there's this straw, and you can now kind of see it move a little bit. Okay. Really quickly. I need everyone to make me another wisdom save as you now hear another voice harmonizing what sounds like behind you. Behind you the way you came.
Ouch.
There goes our luck, everybody.
Oh, God. Okay, can we re-roll?
Oh my God, yes. You have lots of divine inspirations, and you all can re-roll.
Re-rolling that for sure.
You get one re-roll. You can't re-roll a re-roll, but go ahead. So that is...
Ah!
I know.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh.
I feel better.
Cole did better. Oh, man.
So that's it? Just Cole? So, have you re-rolled yet, Eric? Yes, you did. What about you, Adam?
Yeah, I might as well.
You might as well. Yes, I think you might as well. Okay. Core, as you're holding Tastra, you hear another voice harmonizing, almost the third, the triad, along with Tastra, and this voice that's now increasing in volume and intensity. It's coming from behind you, and you turn and you look up and you see this radiant being shimmering and hovering and slowly descending out of the air. Similarly, Kyliora.
Dome.
Kyliora, you kind of stand up from the position. Cole, you're like, what are you doing? You see her stand up and look. You also see this gorgeous, androgynous being floating down, arms at its side, bathed in heavenly light. Tobias and Cole, you all see them both do that, and you look up, and you see this woman from the waist up, bird from the waist down, wings outstretched as she's flying in, talons curled up like she's coming to attack, and her mouth is wide open as she's singing this song. And with that, Core, it is your turn. However, you are under the thrall of the luring song. So, you, in fact, let go of Tastra, and just based on where we're on the map, you kind of stand there awaiting deliverance from this beautiful creature.
Totally. Love it.
Kyliora, you stumble forward 30 feet, past Tobias, just walking, staring up. Tobias, you can take an attack of opportunity to try to grapple her if you would like.
Hey, yeah, I think I'll do that. Seeing that I see what's up in the air there. It's Tobias is like, Kyliora, hold on, and he reaches out to grab her.
Okay, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to give you advantage on athletics. Kyliora, can you please roll me acrobatics? I presume that's your better stat over athletics. Can you please roll me acrobatics opposing Tobias's athletics check? Oh, she almost slashes out, and you just vaguely remember, you're like, I'm gonna go for it. You grab her by the scruff of the neck and kind of pull her back, and she has that same kind of extra skin in the scruff of the neck, and you pull her back, and Kyliora doesn't even react to you. She kind of stops and is kind of writhing and trying to push past you, but Tobias, you're kind of holding her, and she doesn't seem to even notice your presence.
All right. All right, so I guess Tobias, I'm grappled with Kyliora.
Yeah, we're gonna say she's right here. You kind of grabbed her by the scruff of the neck and pulled her back.
Can I spend an action to try to slap her out of it, or?
Absolutely, you can. Yes. So you pull her towards you and just give her a slap across the face, and I will let you re-roll your wisdom save now, Kyliora.
Oh, yay.
Oh. Hey, spend another one. We got so many tonight. People have been extremely generous. Burn another one. There you go.
Yeah,
you feel this stinging slap across your face, and suddenly the angelic light around this creature gives way to the true form of a harpy descending, claws out, and she sees that your spell has been broken, and you hear this awful just... Tobias, I'm gonna call that your action to basically give her a solid slap, but you can move if you want.
I'm gonna basically as I slap Kyliora, it's like Kyliora, like, don't be fooled by his magic, and whoom, just slap, and then as I watch her shake to it, it's like you're gonna be good. So now let's try to help the others here. And I make my way towards Core.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm still transfixed. I forgot to roll at the end of my turn. The wisdom saving throw, and I failed. So
no worries.
I'm gonna move up next to Core there.
Okay. On Tastra's turn, I'll let her make a roll here. She kind of is like, what's going on? And she knocks an arrow on her turn, but of course it's at the end of her turn. So with that, you all see this harpy just comes crashing down, descends down, and you know what? Let's have some fun here. Eric, can you roll me a d6? I'm going to do Tastra's a 5-6, Tobias, you're a 3-4, and you are a 1-2, Eric. So she comes crashing down out of the air.
I'm the one transfixed, so that makes sense.
It does.
I assume I am incapacitated in Norse songs.
Yeah, you're in a really,
is this
really
like advantage
bad way.
against me? It's probably advantage
you're
against
in a
me, right?
very, very bad way. That's right.
Yeah, totally. Makes sense.
All right. Oops.
Lay it on me.
She comes swooping down. Does a 17 get you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. AC 15.
All right. You take 7 points of damage as she swoops down. And you all see her talons open up, and there are these awful-looking claws, these 3-inch claws. And as she hits the ground, they rake down Core. Ooh, our cameras are swapped there, Core. Let me fix that real fast. What am I doing with my life?
No, I'm the DM. I'm the
Fail.
DM now.
Yeah, you just take over. Look at me. I'm the DM now. There we go. Oh, these are all messed up. Hold on 1 second. Let me fix
Those
these
16
real quick.
ogres show up, everybody.
Yeah. Fantastic. Here we go.
That's
How did that happen?
All right.
Okay. Yes, so you get slashed as it comes crashing down over you. Sorry about that, everybody. A little technical issue there. And with that, the other one on the top continues to sing. I don't think any of you are paying any attention to it at this point. You hear its voice continuing to sing, but it shrieks at the end as it notices that Tastra seems to be free of its spell. Cole, it is your turn.
Alright, I'm going to move up to the rock. And can I try and climb on top of it?
You sure can. Now, it is high. It's like 40 feet up. 35, 40 feet. But you can certainly climb it. Your dash would get you about halfway up.
Alright, yeah, let's dash.
All right, sweet. Go ahead and roll me athletics and see how you do.
Fingers crossed. Let's see.
Ooh! Reroll it. Spin one.
Yeah.
You guys had a lot. There were a ton.
Oh,
Yes. With that, in fact,
Nice.
you make it right to the top. You're just like, you know what? Nah, screw this. You find a perfect handhold, and you pull so hard that you sort of leap and then catch the next bit. And you come up over the top, and you do see another harpy up here, but it looks wounded. And you come up, and she kind of backs away from you. One of her wings looks kind of curled in, and she just looks kind of black and blue, and she kind of recoils from you, and her song stops, and she's like, ah, ah, kind of makes this weird, feral-sounding noise at you. Core, that would be your turn. I think all you really get to do is make that wisdom save again, because even them damaging you does not trigger that. Sorry about that. But go ahead and make that wisdom save. As the cleric, I'm surprised, or druid. That is a pass.
Finally, you would think so. You would think the one with the 4 with the wisdom would have succeeded like 6 different attempts. But
in fact,
so it goes.
the blood filling your clothing and the warmth feels like radiant warmth as this being is looking at you, reaching a hand out to you, and then suddenly you snap out of it, look down, see yourself covered in blood, and this creature kind of crouching to the ground, its wings tucked in, and she's looking at you hungrily. Kyliora, it is your turn. You are now free from the spell of the harpies.
Not like this.
Let's let everyone back home see what Cole is up to up there. All right. Kyliora, what you got? What you want to do? Oh, I think you're muted.
Really? Weird. Hello?
There we go.
Okay. If I move behind Tastra, does that leave me open to pull out my short bow and shoot the harpy? Is it on the ground or is it flying?
It is on the ground. And I'm sorry, what's your question? Can you pull out your short bow and fire off?
Yeah, if I move behind Tastra.
You definitely can. You didn't have a weapon drawn. At least you didn't declare one, so you're good to go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Behind Tastra's 30, so.
Yeah, perfect. You get right up on it.
That give me sneak attack or no?
It will certainly trigger a sneak attack, yep.
Yay. Okay. So, let me grab my sheet back up. Where'd you go, sheet? There you are. Short bow. Did you work? Okay.
That is, in fact, a hit.
Fantastic.
Go ahead and roll damage and add your sneak attack to it.
And that's 1, and that's 2.
Nice.
10 damage.
All right, you come up and just kind of lean around Tastra, draw your bow, loose it, and I mean, it's point blank range. You can't hit. You can't miss. You hit right center of mass. You see it kind of disappear in her feathers, and she kind of shrieks and turns towards you. You can see her eyes are like bloodshot. They look very human, but they're searching the way an animal's might. Tobias.
Kind of hiss at her too.
Cat fight. Oh, and this is a bird too. You really wanna get her.
Get my
Tobias.
All right,
Gonna paw at it.
Tobias sees that everybody's back up to come back to their senses. So with that, he's going to move to here. He's going to pull tight that arrow that he has knocked onto his bow, and he's going to target the harpy that's engaged with Cole there.
Okay.
Alright, so...
Oh, engage with Cole up on the rock.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Gonna go with it? You want to re-roll it?
I guess I'll spend a re-roll.
I've lost track of how many there are, but I'm gonna say there's 10 left at this point. Because there were a lot.
Nope.
Ooh. Unfortunately, you try to get a shot, but you just can't risk hitting Cole, and you hear it kind of clatter on the rock as the flint from the arrow shatters. Some sparks kind of fly up, but the shaft goes flying off. It is Tastra's turn, and Tastra was, in fact, freed. And so you see her... I have the wrong character sheet for Tastra. 1 second. There we go. She draws a short sword, kind of pulls her bow to her side, and attacks this thing twice. And we'll just roll very quickly. Well, that's pretty solid. And another one. Oh, wait, the second one didn't hit. She pulls her sword back and slashes right across, and you see just this blood kind of flick off with feathers intermingled, and the harpy now just... kind of trying to cover her face. Looks like she's getting very defensive. And with that, it is the harpy's turn. All right, this one on the ground. Let's see. Which one is it going to attack? It can kind of hit all three of you, so I am going to play it like this. Core, she's already wounded you. You're going to be a 1, 2, or a 3 on a d6, I'm afraid. Tastra, you're going to be a
Makes
4
sense.
or 5. And Kyliora, you're going to be a 6. This is me simulating some AI.
That's racist, but it makes sense.
Oh, she stays on you, Core.
Right.
And she's
No
sort
problem.
of blocking these blows, looks at you and takes a hand back and swings down at you.
15.
Oof.
Okay.
Oof. Oof.
I'm down.
Ah, awful. You all look as she just rakes across Core's chest, falls to the ground, sort of looking up at her, eyes open. And the other one attacks you, Cole. Oh my gosh.
Shoot her!
I'm rolling hot. Hey, you guys can make me re-roll. I'm just saying.
I'm good.
All right. 5 damage. But she's looking kind of weak, so go ahead and reduce that by 1 as she slashes across you, but you can tell like one side of her is just not working the way it should.
Alright.
And with that, Cole, it is your turn.
Alright, I'm going to try and slash at her with my yikawa. Love that word. So much fun.
That is a definite hit.
Alright.
All right, you
I'm
kind
gonna-
of spin it around, slash across her. Go ahead.
And I'm gonna use my bonus action to try and like Sparta kick her off the rock.
Oh, sweet. So we're gonna call this a shove. Go ahead and roll athletics versus hers. Yeah.
Thought
yeah.
it was an unarmed strike, but
Well, if you're doing a shove,
yeah. Okay, so acrobatics. All right.
yes, please. I'm sorry, it's
Is that a key
athletics.
strike? Is there a level 1 key strike that moves people for damage? Is that
I don't
what
think you
you're
get key to level 2, right?
trying to- Okay, never mind.
I think.
Yeah, that's that.
Go ahead. Yeah, athletics. Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
All right, you slash her, and she kind of recoils, and you take the shot. You just pull your leg back and plant it right in her chest, and you hear the wind just I think I just spit on my keyboard. She falls off the side. You can see her wing try to flap, but one of them is wounded, and so she does fall 30 feet.
Nice.
You all, Tobias, as you watch, she tumbles, wings flapping, hits the ground with this kind of groan, and she's like trying to get up, but clearly she is broken and battered. Cor, unfortunately, I need a death save. All right. You hear this. You hear dwarven singing from deep within the halls of your ancestors, but you don't give up the ghost yet. Kyliora, your turn.
I am going to drop my bow, pull out my rapier, go behind this crazy thing. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to pull out my rapier. I'm going to just use my claws and just kind of
cool.
attack it.
Okay.
I guess that's unarmed strike. I don't think I have that even equipped though. Okay, whatever. 20 plus 1, I think. That's strength.
Ooh,
Nice. Oh.
Yes.
Nice. That is a crit. So, technically, it's not a finesse weapon, but I'm gonna allow your sneak attack because that feels very cat-like to me. So go ahead and roll me 2d6 plus whatever your claws are. I forget, what are they? 1d4 or something like that. So,
1d4.
So 2d4 plus 2d6 plus your strength modifier. I can't not in good conscience let a cat get a sneak attack. I mean, that just feels wrong to me.
Wow, I got a 1. 2d6. Whoa. Whoops, I forgot my strength modifier. Oh well, strength modifier is 1, so plus 2.
All right, you kind of quickly come behind her, take a claw back. You can still have your bow in your other hand. You don't need to have dropped it. And you just slash, and you feel the claw connect. You feel it rend down her back. Feathers go flying in your face. The wing seems to detach. You pull your claw back, and it's just covered in viscera, slightly still connected, some strand of something. And she lets out this just guttural and kind of turns to you, clearly barely standing at this point. Tobias.
Alright, so Tobias, seeing that his arrow went wide last time and sees now where the harpy is now, he's going to knock another arrow and he's going to loose it on her, and it's hopefully better this time.
That is a definite hit.
And that is 11 points.
Tobias, like a wounded animal, she's just trying to get on her feet. You almost take the mercy shot. You line it up right through the temple. She stops moving, hits the ground, and is very dead.
Yeah, and then he's going to just basically come over this way to start keeping an eye on the other harpy.
All right. Tastra is like, you got this! And she kneels down and sort of, as the harpy is turned to face Kyliora, she pulls out some herbs and some bandages and attempts to stabilize Cor. I don't think she has anything in medicine. Is medicine intelligence or wisdom?
Wisdom.
Oof. She gets started. You see her pulling some stuff out. She puts some herbs in her mouth and like spits them out. Starts trying to heal his wounds, but does not seem to.
That doesn't
do
make
the
me
trick.
worse, does it?
It does not make you worse. No.
Okay.
No.
Once again, very generous.
Is it supposed to?
I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't
know. I'm not normally on the receiving end of this.
Yeah. Kyliora, you see this harpy turn to you. One side of her isn't working. One of her wings is hanging open and dead, like a curtain, just kind of flapping there. She takes her claws back, tries to rend at you. As she does, she lifts her left leg, and you see those long claw talons on her feet, and she strikes out with you. Oof. 8 slashing damage, Kyliora.
Ay. I'm hanging on by the skin of my damn teeth.
Woo.
I'm gonna hiss at that thing.
She kind of does that. She's like, ah! And it looks like she turns and tries to fly, but one of her wings is just completely inoperable and she can't get away. Cole, it is your turn.
Jumping on.
Alright, I'm just gonna hop down off the rock, like slide down and then dash so that I get over here by Tobias and...
I think you'll be a little shorter. 10, 20, you're about here. Just because that rock is 30 feet up, so you had to be a little cautious coming down.
So that's fine. I guess that's all I'm gonna do.
Alright, Core. Make me a death save. Hey, you're doing good. The sound of your ancestors singing is getting more distant, and you can almost hear the sounds of the fight above you. Kyliora, it is your turn. Kyliora, did you knock your hit points off your current hit points on your character sheet?
I did not. Oop, I just killed myself. Well, that's not...
Hope you're not dead. That'd be
there we go.
ugly.
I am not. Awkward. There we go.
Alright, it is your turn, Kyliora.
I am going to... What am I going to do? I am just going to scratch its face off again.
Alright.
Damn.
Ooh.
I do not do it.
Do
Can
you
I
want to
reroll?
reroll it? You certainly can. You have 9 divine rerolls remaining.
Yeah.
That is a hit. Kyliora. She turns to try to fly. You grab the busted wing, pull her in, and she spins around and looks at you again with these searching eyes that look human, but like there's less than human intelligence behind them. And you just take your hand, claw into her face, and tear down. Hear stretching and ripping sounds. She struggles against you, grabs your arm for a second, and then you feel her fingers go limp as you drop this creature to the ground.
I would be roaring while this happens.
Nice.
Very,
like
very
how?
Frustrated at this thing.
Yes, perfect. But we're going to remain in initiative only very quickly for Core. Tobias, you can run over and attempt to give Core medical aid if you would like to.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Tobias is gonna run over and stow his longbow and start to apply basically field medicine.
Okay, go ahead and roll it. Oh, that does in fact stabilize him. So with that, we are certainly out of initiative. And let's see if the character cameras are messed up on this as well. They are not. They're good to go.
Great work, Tobias. Thank
Tobias,
you, everybody.
Kyliora, your first kill. Congratulations.
Yeah, I killed a birdie.
Very fitting. Very fitting.
Can we short rest for a moment?
Absolutely. Tostra and Tobias pull Core's body near the stream. She wets some rags and kind of rubs them on his forehead to get his temperature down, bring him back. All of you can go ahead and spend your hit dice.
Yay.
Hey, it looks like everyone's pretty much
Nice.
back except for Core, who's limping a little bit there.
I'm not bad.
It's Tobias as he's patching him up. He's like, yeah, Corey, you might I reckon it's a little bit close to comfort for you there. It's might want to try to keep away from these alluring harpies, no matter how beautiful they might seem. And he gives him a chuckle as he kind of like over tightens the bandage on him.
Yeah. I'm a little tired from waking up from the unconsciousness, but I'm like, yes, but us dwarves do not fear death. We fear dishonor.
Well,
Nevertheless, thank you.
You all certainly fought with honor. Whew, that was ugly. I thought we were going to lose you, Master Dwarf. Well, is everyone healed up? We should keep moving before it gets dark.
Told you we're
Harder to
professionals.
navigate.
The best of the best. As I limp away.
Just barely walking.
The
Can I
best.
loot some
Oh, this is the best.
Yes.
Did I kill?
You don't find anything on their bodies, but if you climb that rock and search their nest, you find all kinds of little shiny knickknacks. You find pocket watches. You find mirrors, little like hand mirrors that have been stolen. You find a silver comb, if anyone wants that. And then I'm just going to round up here. You guys find 20 gold. It's really in various denominations, tons of coppers and silver pieces. But you guys can each take 5 gold pieces there. Kylie, you kind of expertly climb the rock while they're healing up core, and you're like grabbing it all up.
Speed.
Yep.
I got shinies, guys. I'm gonna keep a mirror and a comb to myself.
Okay, cool. You keep the mirror and comb. You can add those to your character sheet. Everyone else gets 5 gold. We do track gold in the Mac Marches spreadsheet because I'm the kind of DM who thinks spreadsheets add to the fun.
I take my 5 gold and give it to Tastra. And I say, here, you can buy me dinner later.
She kind of looks at you. She's like, all right, you've got a deal. Well, we should get going. And you all trek off. It doesn't take long until you finally come upon this small hill, and you pass these stumps of trees. It's clearly an area that's been deforested as you climb this small rise. And there in the center is this small little cabin. The bottom 3 feet is all stone. That looks like it's been laid out pretty well. It's stone and mortared, and then above that it's interlocking planks of wood. Comes to a pitched roof, and you can see that there's a stone chimney, and there is smoke coming out. And you all see this little path that kind of leads down into the woods, set with these wide, flat river stones. Beside the house, you can see clear evidence of someone who is very diligent. You see tons of wood stacked up. It's under a small roof. You can see several spears that are kind of just leaning up against the side of the building. And you do see a small little wooden fence encasing a pigsty. You see 3 pigs kind of wallowing around in there.
Cool.
Perfect. Awesome, Eric. No problem.
All right.
All right, guys.
This must be the place.
Tostra clearly looks a little nervous about approaching it, and she's like, "Well, here we go, I suppose."
Well,
look around for ways in that aren't the front door.
Yeah, you see that there is a front door. There's also a back door, and there's 2 windows on the front, and that seems to be it.
Are any of the windows open?
As it's fall, no, I don't think they are, since the fireplace is going. You can see the smoke kind of billowing out of the fire, out of the chimney.
The fireplace is out too. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be a little ugly to climb in.
Looks like somebody's home.
Cole could.
Does appear to be that way. Usually, my experience, if there's smoke coming out of the chimney, somebody's either living there or making use of the fireplace.
Well, which one of you wants to go and knock on the door?
I got this.
She kind of smiles at you like, all right, take it away.
I find the direct approach to be the best. And I try and go up to the front door.
We got your back, Cole.
You walk towards the door, and as you get close, the door kind of slowly opens, and you see this absolutely built woman step forward, and she's holding this short sword that seems to shimmer. It almost has a strange glow about it, and she has a wooden shield that she's clearly donned, but besides that, she's pretty much like she's certainly not dressed for battle. She clearly just grabbed this, and she kind of sees you, and she looks at you all, and she's like, "If you've come to kill me, know that you're not the first to try. You probably won't be the last, and this'll be where you die."
You are mistaken, my fair lady. We are here to ask for your help.
Fair lady? Who the feck are you looking at? Go on out with it, then.
Jeez.
She holds the sword out towards you, looking like...
We're here for your help. A giant's attacking the village, and we heard that you are the person to go to.
She's like, oh, feck me. So they want me to come and deal with their problems, How many of them are there now? 60, 70? They can't deal with a little giant? Give me a break. Come back when you've got something interesting to tell me.
Look, you can come with us or not, But if you could give us some tips on how to take this thing down, we'd be greatly appreciative.
She kind of sighs. It's like, you a Genasi?
Last I checked.
It's like, I haven't seen a Genasi in some time. You're clearly not from here, so what, did they hire you? Your adventurers they hired?
We're part of a caravan traveling north. We just happened upon some miserable people that looked like they could use a hand.
Well, I suppose that's mighty generous of you. What about you, dwarf? Tastra. Tastra's like, I only guided them here.
I just stare at her, like just scowling, not answering her questions. I don't want to be here, but like, I recognize a sense of myself in her being like, yeah, like, screw these people kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But like, so like, I kind of sympathize with it a little bit, and I'm kind of torn.
Cool, makes sense. She kind of stares at you, and she's like, and it's not Tabaxi. I haven't seen a Tabaxi in nigh 15 years. You're with them? You're with a lot of them? Must be mighty cold for you here. Actually, what kind of Tabaxi are you again? What do you look like? Was it a leopard? A tiger?
Yeah. But I got a little bit more fur on, like, the sides.
Cool. She's like, must be a bit cold for you.
It's not bad. I'm from Silvery Moon, which is pretty cold itself. Pretty far north, so I'm okay with the temperatures.
I hope they're paying you well. What about you?
I wish.
Uh-huh.
There's got to be something you want, if you help them.
Mostly to be left alone.
Oh, they've been doing that.
I suppose that's true. And what about you? What's your story?
Yeah, Tobias kind of answers out and probing her to see how good she is. He answers out in giant, saying that he's just tries to appeal to her glory-seeking of being a giant slayer. He basically calls out, we're here to we're hunt this giant, kill it. I figure someone as well-renowned as you would want another chance at to put another notch on your belt there. He's saying this all in giant.
All right, why don't you go ahead and roll persuasion? You all here, does anyone else here speak giant?
Nope.
You're muted, Eric.
I was just joking that we're probably here just like, waka da na waka soka solo.
Yeah. Naka wanawanga. Yeah. She kind of looks at you and leans against the wall, and she's like, Nocta, Grotna, Gasta. And she basically replies, what kind of giant? Like she's trying to feel it out a little bit.
And then Tobias kind of responds back, it's like, we know you killed a frost giant, so a mere giant wandering these parts, probably an easy thing to do, but I would imagine that you would take pride in ridding these lands of another giant.
She leans against the door frame. You rolled a pretty good persuasion. She kind of looks at her hands a little bit. She takes her shield off, leans it against the side, sheathes her short sword, and she's like, all right, but here's what I want. The truth is, I spend most of my damn time feeding myself. Let me get some food, Every harvest. Bring me a wagon full. What do you say, Tastra? Is that amenable to you? Your lives, is that worth that? Tastra's like, oh, I couldn't say for sure. I mean, I don't have that authority. I could certainly speak with Grigor. I'm sure they'd be willing to. And she's like, that old bastard's still alive, huh? Figured he'd have kicked it by now. All right, well, I'll walk back with you at least. And if they can agree to those terms, then sure, I suppose I can swing this blade one more time. But only for the glory. She kind of winks at Tobias.
Tobias grins back and gives a slight nod that he agrees with her.
She's like, all right, well, give me a moment. Door slams. Tastra breathes a huge, like, oh. Well, thank you for that. I don't think I could have ever convinced her. You see how she is.
You didn't think that was gonna go well, and I sort of punch her in the arm. We're experts.
She's like, well, so far you have been, well, you've been exceeding expectations. I don't know how lucky we were that you happened upon us. And blessings of Shanti, I suppose. At least that's what the farmers would say.
No, just Joaquin. It's hard work.
She nods at you, seeming with some understanding. A few seconds later, the door kind of flies open again, and she's got this leather armor on. Fits her, like, you can tell the armor has not been worn in a while. It's like in pristine condition, looks like it's recently been oiled, but it fits her perfectly. Like, she's in perfect physical condition. And she just kind of steps down and looks back at everything, and she's like, if I come back to find this place ransacked, I will kill all 5 of you.
Fair enough.
Duly noted, ma'am.
All right, well, tell me about this giant. What are we up against? You said it's a hill giant. I'm surprised you need help for that. They're the lowest. They're the worst. But suppose I've already committed to helping you, so I won't talk down upon your petty problems anymore. Isn't that right, Tastra? And Tastra's like, oh, whatever you say. Kind of like puts a distance between them.
Fair, they didn't give us a chance to do it without you, so alas, we need your help. They only trust you.
After all these years, I think I still got it. Me and True Strike here, and she pats the blade of her sword.
That's a mighty fine weapon you have there. So how'd you come about that? Tell us about this frost giant that you killed. And I'm a little bit of a monster hunting myself, and so always welcome for a tall tale.
I like treasure stories, and if that's a treasure, then I definitely want to hear it.
She kind of looks at you both, and is like, maybe when you've earned it. And, like, pushes off ahead of you all walking towards town. And Tastra kind of looks at you a little bit wide-eyed, like, shrugs a little bit.
Irritable.
Tobias just chuckles as he pulls his cloak back up, the hood up over as they start to trudge to town.
Yeah. Is True Strike the name of a dwarven-made weapon?
Yeah, I think
History
it is.
check, maybe?
Sure, yeah, let's roll history, but I'll give you advantage on it.
Good. Oh, that's disadvantage. There we go. 16?
Sure. In fact, you kind of remember a list of dwarven blades that were made specifically to give as gifts. They were a little bit, they held back on them a little bit. These weren't like, not the best of the best. They weren't the cream of the crop. They were the ones that they made to put on Walmart shelves. The boxes were a little shorter. Okay. They didn't quite have as much magic as some of the other dwarven blades, but you do recognize the name. And in fact, you also know there's more than one. Like, they're like, this is the blade True Strike, the one and only, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Not that it was like a deception or shitty. It's just that they were kind of almost mass-produced gifts.
Right. And do I know its abilities at all? Or, like, it's rumored? Or...
Sure, I think it's rumored to essentially aid the user in the ability to strike its target. Okay. So the name is good advertising for it.
So then perhaps on the way there, I might chime in there. So the name True Strike, huh?
He says, familiar with it?
Maybe. I just haven't seen you fight yet. And I'm not so, convinced that it's you doing the fighting, or the sword.
One of those, huh? Sure. Well, if you must know, True Strike wasn't even in my possession when we slew that giant. No. Frakelvar? Mm-mm. No magic. No magic involved whatsoever. Just me, these two hands, a broken spear, and my own ingenuity.
That's quite the tale you spin. It's a shame there's no truth to it.
Oh, you think so? And she kind of stops and turns to face you. Yeah. Then who the fuck are you?
Yeah. The way she's posturing herself, I want to insight her here as kind of size her up.
Make an insight
see
check.
what my next play is. Normal.
Okay, with a 19, you definitely get that there's some truth to her words, but it's certainly not 100% sure. She doesn't have the charisma to be a practiced liar. You can just tell that she's getting overly obstinate about it, which, is like, whoa.
All you humans are the same. You love to bolster your stories. But what glitters in that rock of a tale is not all fool's gold.
She kind of eyes you up a second. She's like, I suppose in the end we're nothing but stories. And Tastra again is like, I figured there was a fight about to come.
Yeah.
She's like, all right, what about you? What's your story? You said you're with a caravan.
We're heading north to, I believe, a place called Frostgarden. And so we're kind of heading up there. We were hired to help reclaim that area. Help a young lord establish his name in these here parts. So, but we figure as any good storyteller and any good story, it's always good for adventure to have some mighty big beasts to kill. And what better way to begin a story with, even though it's a small giant, a hill giant, nonetheless.
So you're willing to spill your blood for this young lord?
I'm not willing to spill my blood for anybody. I'm here for the fight and nothing else.
She perks up at that and is like, maybe there's some hope for you all yet. And the conversation continues in this way for some time. If there's anything else specific anyone would like to say to Rosamund or Tastra before you arrive back in Frickley, go ahead.
I guess Tobias would start just basically talking shop, comparing different stories and getting different.
I think you find her pretty unwilling to talk shop. I think you find her. You're sort of like, hey, so how about? She's like, feck off.
Like, so I normally prefer Neverwinter Pinewood for my bows, but I found that
yeah. I mean, if the 24-incher works for you, that's
doesn't
great.
hold up to the higher.
Me, I need the 30-incher just to get that extra pull. But hey, if 24 inches if that's all you can pull, great. If that works for you. She has very little interest in talking shop, and if you try, she at first kind of politely declines, and then if you kind of push her, she's like, I don't feckin' care about you. Like, kind of is pretty.
Tobias would kind of get that sense, It's like it backs off a little bit, be like, all right, I see you got your tails, and you can keep them, and but hopefully see how good you are with that sword.
She kind of eyes you up and clearly is like shakes her head. Ata's just like, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about that. If you could just deal with her, we'll just have this all done with. Like, she's almost embarrassed for her, even though they're not related or anything like that. Anything else anyone would like to do on your way back to Frickley?
I mean, if anyone wants a good story, I got one of the tale of my first fight.
Hey, go for it. Clearly Rosamund doesn't care, but Tastra is still being friendly and chatting with you.
So it was my first time in the gladiatorial ring. It was me and 3 other guys. I thought for sure, free-for-all, right? Fair game. But no, I see them exchanging glances right before everything starts. Clearly, it's been fixed, and against me. And I don't know if it was a race thing. I don't know if it was a gender thing. All I know is all 3 of them were about ready to unleash hell. One coming at me with a sickle blade on a chain, the other with a net and a trident, and the other 2 huge war hammers that should not have been wielded single-handedly. And I think he was about to find that out quickly. He went to swing for me, and I leapt up, managed to leap right on his bicep, kick him in the face, knocked him out clean 1 second. The sickle guy comes at me. His chain swipes. I duck. He hits guy with the net. It gets stuck in the net, and they're clamoring for their weapons. I managed to get a spear, stab both of them in the heart. Fight ends under 5 minutes. Crowd cheering. And that's how I gained my reputation as the undefeated. At least the start of it, anyway.
Nice. Even Rosamund is like clearly cocking her head to the side to hear the story. And she's seeming to be pretty into it. Like, you kind of catch her nodding a couple times. More than anything else anyone has said, she's kind of into it. Oh, hey, y'all. Thank you for the raid. Appreciate it. What's up, Grant? So yeah, she kind of nods back at you, doesn't reply, but you kind of catch out of the corner of your eye that she perks up at it a little bit and certainly doesn't bristle at it like every other story that she just doesn't seem like she gives a shit about. Alright, with that, you all arrive back in Frickley, and Rosamund kind of stops just on the outskirts, and she kind of looks around and she's like, still smells like shite. Tasha's just like, shrugs her shoulders like, God, can we just have this over with? And she walks towards the inn, and you can see like people are kind of peering. They've pulled back the curtain, and they're kind of looking out. The door opens, people are kind of looking, and she storms in. She takes the lead, walks in ahead of all you all, and she kind of looks at everyone and she's like, 3 ales, right now, please. And the tavern owner kind of like, oh, of course, yes, 1 moment. It's so nice to see you again, Rosamund. And she's like, feck off! And he's like, He starts pouring it, and she plops down at a table, like waiting for it, arms folded, and she's like, what? Like looking at everyone looking at her.
So polite.
Yes, Tobias he's gonna grab an ale, and he's kind of like just gonna lean up against the bar, like back to the bar, holding the ale, just watching the crowd, watching Tastra there, and watching Rosenbaum.
There's basically this weird, very awkward silence going on. Like, people are afraid, like, even when they cough, they're like, they're trying to suppress it. And she's just kind of sitting there, like, man-spreading at this table, like, chugging an ale, and she's locking eyes with people around the room. And when she finishes it, she kind of slams it down, takes her time, grabs another one, just being, like, incredibly coarse, basically.
Yeah.
And Tastra's like, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I probably would ask a farmer or maybe a woodsman would know better about, like, just kind of sit down and be like, so what's her story? Certainly her must have a lot of friends.
Yeah, he kind of shrugs a little. He's like, well, from what I've heard, she was born here, left when she was pretty young, teen maybe. That was 20 years nigh, I suppose. Went off to Waterdeep, went off to Neverwinter, further south even, did some adventuring, joined up with... Yeah, from what I understand, and, hey, she showed back up with apparently a pile of gold. Says she got it from slaying a frost giant, and some travelers a couple years later passed through, and they actually talked about her. They mentioned how she was part of an adventuring party that was mostly wiped out, but took out a frost giant somewhere in the spine of the world. I don't know where, but she certainly has the attitude to back it up, true or not. I've no reason not to believe it. But yeah, she's been living here for the last, I guess, 13 years or so. Pretty much on the outskirts. Should show up in town from time to time when she first got here. Should show up at the inn, act like this, get on everyone's nerves a little bit, get in some fights. She always won. Then kind of just became secluded, which probably was for the best for everyone, to be honest.
Sure seems that way until now.
Yeah, you can see why people are a little hesitant to call upon her, but
Well,
I don't get it at all. She's quite a charmer.
He laughs and then looks at her and reins it in, and she's kind of staring over at you guys as she drains another one and then looks at another part of the room.
well, sometimes we don't like the tools we have to wield, but this place here, she's a very valuable weapon, especially in this time.
He kind of stares at you a little bit. He's like, "Oh yeah, like I've got this short bow. It's in pretty bad shape, but I still use it to hunt small game." And like you're clearly like, "Yeah, man,
No, the point
you
is
got it." Yeah. He's kind of looking at you, like nodding. And Tastra kind of speaks up, and she's like, "All right, well, what's the plan? We know he's coming through the gate. He'll have to pass through the fields. He wanted the pile of food there. Do we ambush him? Do we meet him defiantly? You tell me. What should we do?" And she kind of looks at Rosamund, but then immediately dismisses her and looks at you guys. And Rosamund's like, "It's just a hill giant."
Where's Gregor at?
He's standing in here. He's kind of got his arms crossed, and he's been staring at Rosamund the whole time, and you see him kind of whispering with some of the other farmers. Clearly they are not as enthused as they once were about this whole plan. But it's dark outside now. It's too late to leave.
I'm gonna sidle up to him and kind of be like, this kind of also hinges on you, because she won't help unless you agree to it.
He's like, well...
Give her a bale or
Cart.
a cart full of food every harvest.
He's like, that's her ask, huh? He's like, well, unfortunately, it's too late now. We're not gonna hitch up and leave now. He's coming in the morning. We're not gonna get anywhere. So, I guess we've no choice but to agree to her terms. And when he says that, you hear her slap the table, and she's like, "Ha ha! Excellent then! I'm excited about this!" And she kind of stands up, and her demeanor changes a little bit. And I mean, everyone is just so put off. Like, they're just like, what the fuck? And she's like, all right, well, come on, everyone. We've got a fight tomorrow. That's gonna be grand.
That's the spirit.
Tobias listens, and it's like, it's gonna be a good fight. How are we gonna go about this? You want to lure him in to the town, set up a trap, ambush him on his way in, or just charge the gates and just all hell break loose and just run him at him as he comes up?
She folds her arms and looks at you, and she's like, well, if I'm being honest, I'm a couple beers deep now, and I don't get much opportunity to drink other than the hooch I make myself. So, why don't you all decide? I'll be wherever you put me. It's just a hill giant. We'll be fine. You tell me where to be. Tell me what the plan is.
Well, I've always been a woman of the direct approach, so I say meet him at the gates and unleash hell.
Is there somewhere that I can at least hide and gain some advantage to shoot?
And I have put you all on the map. You can essentially make your plan here, and as you plan, that will be the setup for when dawn comes. Everyone can go ahead and take a long rest.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
I knew you'd like that, Core. And why don't you guys decide where you're going to be? You also have 5 hunters who are willing to offer archery support.
I see.
By the way, on this map, the gate is to the southeast, so it will be coming essentially up this path right here. If you can see that. Maybe not.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
The further we fight it from town, the less chance of extra damage to these lovely buildings.
We should definitely try to keep the collateral damage down, because these farmers, he kind of like gives them a side look over at them. Probably don't want to spend too much more time rebuilding what's broken. And so if we put the pile of food out in the fields there, try to draw the hill giant there, we could have the hunters in the woods so that way lending archery support, and maybe underneath the pile of food we put a hunting trap, because I'm pretty sure he's gonna reach in fist first to grab that food. So how about we have that food bite back?
Side of the field's covered with like brambles and bushes.
Say that one more time.
Is the sides of the fields covered with like brambles and bushes?
It's certainly thick. It probably wouldn't hold up a giant for long. It's some thick undergrowth.
I mean, like, if I was to take a couple archers and hide in the bushes on the side, and they were to put the giant in the middle so that we have range.
Yes.
The rest of the team is in the front facing it, and then me and the archers are on the other side.
You certainly feel confident that you could hide there. It's thick enough that you could hide. Even though it's fall, some of these bushes are evergreen or they're browning, but you certainly feel like with just a little bit of effort you could set up some pretty decent hiding spots.
Okay. Guys, can I take some archers and hide in the brush while you guys occupy them in the middle of the field?
Good idea.
Anybody with range, if they want to come with me, if you want to keep a couple for you, then you can keep a couple, but...
I guess I'll take a couple with me. I'll go on the other side, because a double-pronged approach can never be can always throw off an enemy, especially a single one, make them decide, force them to choose a direction to fight in.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So that leaves you, Cole, and Core. Which way? I know Cole wants to go right up the middle. And so, Core, what do you want to do? What do you think you're going to be best at here?
Oh, I'm sticking with the person who seems to be the best here, and I look towards Cole. Nothing personal, but Cole seems to know what they're doing the most.
All right.
Plus, they're lucky. Perhaps their sense of justice in their heart.
So that says it. Caliora, you're gonna head off to the one side, take a couple archers with you, and
Take the other one.
I'll take the rest with me. We'll have Cole and Core head up the middle, and Rosamond, you wanna? How about we just send her? We make a nice strong frontal approach with those three, and Caliora, you and I, we pepper the sides.
Sounds good to me.
Rosamund's like, Master Tactician, sounds wonderful. I need another ale. And where is this pile of food going?
Okay. How do you ping?
Let's see.
You click and hold.
Okay.
There you go. All right.
Yeah,
The farmers immediately get to work making a huge pile of food. And you, in fact, hide a bear trap underneath it. You're not sure if he'll hit it or not. There's going to be a chance, though.
It'll be a nice little surprise if it does work, but it's always nice to have a little bit of a wild card in the mix.
All right.
We got Calior's over there.
Astra,
I
Cole,
guess.
and Core are all in by the pile, and then you get a couple of archers, and I get a couple of archers.
Yeah, I'll be over here. Then I'll take a couple archers with me over here.
All right. Fantastic. Any other plans? Anything else you'd like to do? With this, everyone's kind of agreeing. The farmers have gone to work. They are helping stack the food, but they're also helping with the hiding spot. Like, as you guys are there, they're going out and they're checking it. Of course, it's night, so they're not, getting the best, but they're sort of like, oh, well, if we just cover this up a little more, they're kind of putting up sticks, and they've even taken a couple of bits of furniture and stuff that they've sort of strategically placed in the woods. Rosamund falls asleep at her chair, head down, just snoring kind of loudly. Doesn't help with any of the preparations whatsoever. Core, what are you doing?
Probably, well, I'm gonna cast Goodberry for sure, back on those beans.
Nice.
So I crumple up some mistletoe on those beans for us. But otherwise, I'm probably gonna stick near Cole and say a little prayer to myself and say, Morden, I know we're not on the best of terms, but really appreciate his pulling through today.
Cole,
And
how
I
about
like-
you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And I grab a clump of soil here and kiss the soil here and say, the soil tastes weird, too much sulfur. I hope I don't die here.
Awesome. Cole, how about you? What are you doing to prepare for battle?
I'm gonna go up to Tostra and stick out my hand and be like, although we met on a little shaky ground, it was a pleasure fighting and meeting you. And it'll be a pleasure fighting this giant with you.
She smiles genuinely and is like, I'm so glad we found you. And to be honest, I'd rather have you all at my side than her. You seem like your hearts are in the right place. That's a rare thing in this world. So, thank you for being here.
Are we?
Try not to die.
You do the
Still a
same.
beginner.
Of course. What about you, Kyliora? You've got your archers ready, and I think it's two hunters. They're kind of young. In fact, one of them's like 14, the other one's maybe 17. The older one's a girl who looks pretty proficient with the bow. The boy is looking quite nervous. Like I said, he's like 14, but he shows you, he demonstrates, and he's a pretty good shot. But they kind of rally behind you, and they're kind of listening to your instructions. So what do you do or tell them?
First off, before I actually talk to them about anything, can I write in my journal and just talk about giants in general? Or, like, just make an idle comment like, oh joy, now I have to face a giant. Like, is there anything I can do?
Of course. You write in your journal, and as you're accustomed, you kind of shield it from everyone's sight, and you write, Dear Journal, I'm fighting a giant. Is there anything I can do? And you watch it for a second, and as always happens, chills kind of run down your spine as you see ink appearing on the page, and something writes back. You're not sure what, and it says, be careful. Period.
Well, that's helpful. Okay. Thank you, Journal. I am going to look towards. Well, I'm assuming that I had light there magically. Anyway, if I was,
You had a little hooded lantern, I think.
Yeah, I think actually I do. Anyway, so I'm gonna look to them and be like, just follow my lead, and you guys will be good. You seem proficient with a bow. I'm confident that we'll be able to take this guy with no issues. He shouldn't come over here, and if he does, I'll jump in front of him, and you guys just run off.
They both nod, like, all right, we're with you. And Tobias, how do you prepare for this fight, which I think you're somewhat eager for?
Yeah, Tobias is he's definitely a little bit eager. He's checking his bowstrings, making sure everything's nice and tight, making sure his arrows are easily reachable, and that they're not damaged. The feathering, I guess you would call it the feathering on them. I know there's a proper
The
word for it.
fletching,
The
I believe.
Yeah. Making sure the fletchings, everything's going to be a-okay. He's going through a little bit of that muscle memory from his time serving as a scout for the Waterdeep armies. Is coming through, and so, but he kind of he walks up over to Cole and Core and kind of just, it's like be it what this turns out, I am glad to have gone out, be randomly selected to go out on this scout trip. You guys seem like good people, and I'm glad to know you, and this is going to be fun. This is going to be a story that we tell everybody back on the caravan around a bunch of ales. The tales of Cole, Core, and Kiliori, with Tobias as a slays hill giant.
Yeah,
All right.
it'd be a little more interesting than giant fungus, but another day in the life.
I heard about that. That got passed down the caravan line. I heard, what was that? Like that just fungus.
A giant fungal nightmare, the likes of which I see whenever I close my eyes. But
What's a hill giant compared to fungal nightmares? All right. With that, the sky to the east starts to lighten. As it does, a light fog about 3 feet off the ground, creeps in, tendrils of it circling through the fields. There's a tension that's palpable. Most of the rest of the townsfolk are in the inn, but they all look ready to bolt just in case. The people around you who are fighting, the archers, Kyliora and Tobias, they keep looking at you all to steel themselves. They're not fighters, they're hunters. It's a different thing. They're clearly a little bit nervous. Tobias, one of the archers with you, unstrings and strings the bow several times, almost as a nervous tick, before you have to put your arm out and put your hand on their hand and kind of stop them, and they nod at you, clearly understanding. Rosamund finally wakes up from her drunken stupor and is like, ugh, shit, that's it time? She kind of stumbles out from the inn. People kind of point her in the direction you've found for her, and she comes and stands by you, Cole, kind of looks at you, and she's like, your fucking hair's on fire. Can you put that out?
Yeah, sure. And I just sort of dim it to, like, ashes.
Yeah, it's just these coals, white hot, I think, burning just a little bit. And she kind of nods at you and draws her blade. And again, as she does, you can see these dwarven runes kind of down the side, glowing faintly. She looks in the mist, in the distance, finally a shape. A blob at first, obscured by the mist, and then slowly, this large, fat humanoid emerges out of it. Bone Cruncher towers to the height of a tree with the width of a cart. Rolls of fat in his belly hang over a filthy-looking loincloth, and as you can start to see his face, crusted blood rims his crooked grin as he smiles, missing half of his teeth. In one hand, you can see that he's holding an uprooted sapling, and it's dragging on the ground behind him. The other hand, he has a huge brown sack over his shoulder. You can see these dark brown stains dotting the sack. And he approaches and he sniffs the air and he's like, whoa, ho, ho! You've done well. You have stacked food. We will see if it will appease Bone Cruncher's eternal hunger. And as he approaches the pile of food, he looks to the three of you standing there, and he's like, can Bone Cruncher help you? Why do you hold weapons? Do you wish to stand to me? And as he says that, he drops the sack on the ground, reaches a hand out, and just grabs a handful of food. I mean, there's corn cobs and slaughtered beef, and he just shoving it all in his face, and he's staring at you all. And Rosamund kind of leans to you, Cole, and she's like, oh, go ahead.
Why don't you just eat your food, Tubby, and then be on your way?
He's like, but you look tasty too. I have never eaten your kind. What are you?
Certainly not your next meal.
And what makes you believe that?
'Cause you sure look easy to kill.
He's like, what? Was that a threat?
What, you got corn cobs stuck in your ears too? I said eat your food and move on, or this is the last day you eat a damn thing.
He's sort of like, ha! And he flings the food down and says, oh, Bone Cruncher will enjoy this! And he lifts his sapling and motions like he's going to run at you. And I think that's a great time to roll for initiative, everybody.
Yeah.
Seems right. All right. Listen, I'm having connection issues to roll 20. Can somebody Jaeger my character to roll initiative for me?
I am actually also having some connection issues, so we'll see.
Yeah, their site's going up and down. They're aware of it.
Cool. Well, we will we'll keep our eye on it. I will roll your initiative right now for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Let's see. There you are. Okay, I think I rolled that. And the archers are going to act on your initiatives, Kyliora and Tobias. Rosamund, I do need to roll for both Rosamund and Tastra. And yeah, I can't pop my character sheets out. They won't load when I try to pop them out, so I've just got this like mass stack of character sheets that I have to... But that's okay, we're gonna roll with it.
Yep.
No big. Let's see, where is Tastra? There she is. Alright, bear with us, everybody. Is that all the initiatives? I think they're all in, except for Bone Cruncher, eh?
Yeah.
I thought I rolled his, but maybe not.
At the top, isn't he? That's his picture.
Oh, there it is. Yep, it was there, but whatever, I'll just use the new one. Okay, with that, it is Rosamund's turn. She holds her action. You see her, she draws her sword and has her shield out, but looks like she kind of plants her feet. Does seem pretty competent. I mean, for all the shit she's been talking, she plants her feet, looks like she knows how to brace for the pending blow. Tobias, it is your turn, sir.
Yes.
And Tobias, what we're going to do for your archers, you just roll 2d6, we're going to start averaging damage for them.
Alright. So Tobias is gonna he's gonna stand up. Basically before he's like, everybody follow my move, follow me, and we're gonna make it through this. So he stands up and he yells out in giant to Bone Cruncher, today's gonna be your last meal, Hill Giant, and as he
Nice.
looses an arrow.
What does that sound like in giant, Adam?
It's gonna be. I'm sorry, I can't do it. I'm not that very good at
I know giant, so it sounds like this. There you go.
Thank you, sir.
I'll be your translator.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, roll
Just
it.
think of Klingon. Just Klingon-y.
Yeah, it's Klingon.
So he's gonna loose an arrow.
13. Let me cycle through my character sheets. That is, in fact, a hit, sir.
Alright, so for his damage, it's gonna be a 9.
Okay.
And then for my archers, you said it's.
Yeah, so here's what I'm going to do. It's going to be 2d6 minus 3, so there's a chance that they can miss. But they're essentially just peppering arrows at him.
Get that set up. Here we go. So.
Okay, so 4 more damage. Yeah, your arrows all loose at the same time and just kind of stick into his skin. And he looks like he's going to wait for a second to see which direction to go. But then Rosamund spins her held action and she dashes forward. And she says, "Over here, giant!" With her shield up and her sword back, she rushes forward to get his attention. Cor, that would be your turn.
Yep. Okay. So, what's the ground like around it? Is it already muddy?
It's not muddy, but it has been cold, so it's basically open ground.
Right. So, if it's possible, I can't look up at the spell at the moment, but I want to know the range of create water. Because I have Create or Destroy Water as a level 1 spell, and I want to cast it at his feet and basically make him sink in the mud by like grabbing more of the soil and kissing it again. And you see like a crack in the earth that's like a stream of water like kind of like runs to it and begins to pool around him,
Nice.
like a spider web of water, and makes it muddy around him.
Okay, yeah, it is a 30-foot range, and it's a 30-foot cube, 10 gallons of water. Okay, yeah, I think the ground kind of beneath his feet, and you almost see him sink just a couple of inches.
Yeah.
Gonna be difficult going. So he's
terrain.
basically
Yeah. That's
got
the plan.
no choice but to go for Rosamund at this point. But yeah, you kiss the dirt and kind of, blast it into the air, and it turns to mud as it hits the ground. And beneath him, you just see like water seeping up out of the earth, like pouring up out. Just.
Yeah.
Okay, Cole, that would be your turn.
I'm just gonna let out a blood-curdling scream and come running up to Rosamund to help her out.
Awesome.
Just ready for this shit.
Love it. Kyliora. think you're muted, Kyliora.
Fair point. I think we are just going to shoot him.
Do it.
Dum 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 dum.
That is definitely a hit.
Yay. So that's me.
And
that's
same
my
deal,
archers.
2d4 minus 3. Okay, so you see one of their arrows kind of nicks him a little bit, but your arrow plants firmly right in his right shoulder, and he just... kind of looking from side to side, clearly realizing now he's been lured into a trap. And he's like, oh! On Tastra's turn. Let's see if
Do
can
I get sneak attack with that out of curiosity?
Not yet. Actually, that's a good question, because if he didn't know where you were... I'm going to go ahead and say no, since he was taking damage. He was kind of ready for it, but once they're adjacent, you'll be able to next round.
Yeah, no worries.
Tastra draws her bow back and fires. Does not hit, actually. You see her draw it. She kind of shakily looses it, and it flies over his shoulder. Just, it is his turn now. You see him just stomp forward, and he's clearly slowed and almost loses his balance as the ground beneath him has turned to mud, where once it was solid. So he kind of stumbles forward, and as he approaches Rosamund, he takes this massive sapling back and just swings it at her.
Damn.
Yeah, that's a definite hit.
Damn.
Okay. You see her holding this wooden shield. He swings it, and it just like knocks her back, but she stays on her feet, but you can see her wincing in pain. The second hit slams down into it, and now bits of wood shatter off her shield, and she's just like, ah! Kind of standing her ground, but clearly took a hell of a beating right there. With that, it is Rosamund's turn back. And she will also make 2 attacks, but she holds her sword up and she whispers something in Dwarvish. She's like, what would Dwarvish sound like, Core?
Something like Gaelic, probably.
All right. I'm not gonna even try, but her sword flashes blue for a second and she swings at him, and does get a hit. And then I'm also gonna roll for a second attack. Oh yeah, she's tearing into him pretty good. I can't click the damage. So many character sheets. There we go.
Yeah.
All right. You see her, like, she's reeling from the blow. You can clearly see that her arm possibly broken from that hit, but she's still holding what's left of this shield. She slashes back at him twice, just digging into blubber. They're making these, like, clean cuts that then kind of open up, and you can see the, like, fat and muscle underneath. Tobias.
Alright, so Tobias is gonna knock another arrow, and basically he's going to just rain it down.
Ooh, unfortunately, that's a miss. Your shot just goes a little bit wide.
I was gonna say, do we have any rerolls left?
You sure do. Reroll it.
I'm gonna reroll that. So
That is definitely a hit.
that does 9 points of piercing.
Ooh.
I'm gonna roll. Let's see, 2d6 minus 3.
Yes, sir.
This looks like they do 4 points of damage as well.
Yep. You just see arrows just continue to kind of stab into him. There's now just arrows all over him. He's just a pin cushion at this point. Cor, it is your turn.
Yeah, okay. I'm trying to think of a way I could help somebody rather than attack, but I'm not really seeing it. Okay, so I'm probably going
I think narratively, if you do wish to help with the help action, I would let you use Druid Craft to kind of have plants kind of grow up out of the ground. That's a possibility.
Out of the mud and
I'd
stuff?
allow.
Oh, you
Yeah.
let me do something like that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd allow that.
I would totally be doing that with the mud that I made. Absolutely.
All right, who are you helping?
Right. Next up in the initiative order is no. I'd probably just help. I would probably help Cole.
Okay, cool. Cole, you see, like, right almost behind and to the side of you, almost flanking, you see these plants just start growing up out of the mud, and they kind of wrap around his leg a little bit. They don't look like they're restraining him, but they're kind of tugging and getting his attention. He kind of glances over and looks back a couple of times. Looks like he's a little bit distracted by it.
Yeah, perfect.
Cole, that will give you advantage on your attack as it is the help action.
Awesome. I'm gonna go up to like right around here and try using my Yikwa to slash at his legs.
Cool.
Let's see.
That is a hit.
Awesome.
Nice.
And then I want to try and do, like, with my bonus action, a roundhouse kick to his spine.
Nice.
So what, would that be unarmed strike? Or...
Yes, unarmed strike,
okay.
Yep.
And do I still have advantage, or?
No, it's only for the first one.
Okay, hold on, let me just toggle that.
That is a hit.
And then boom.
Cole, you see him, and while he's distracted, you kind of slash up with your Yikawa, spin around, and plant. You plant your foot. You're aiming for the spine, but he's so big, it just plants firmly in his right butt cheek, and you just feel it kind of press in, and he's kind of like, "Roar!" You kicked him right in the ass.
Literally kicked his ass.
Kyliora, it is your turn. Think you're muted again.
Muted.
But I'm going to just shoot him again because I don't want to go near that club. That's just scary.
Probably not.
Seems right.
Ooh, that sucks.
Ooh, you got 7 rerolls left.
Yeah, I'm gonna reroll that.
Yeah.
Yay.
That is a hit.
That's terrible though.
The gods really wanted you guys to beat this guy today.
Do I get sneak attack with that one?
You do indeed, yes.
Yay! Oh,
Oh!
God damn! Wow!
Oh! Man. Yeah, I mean, he's fighting and swinging. It's a lot harder to plant a good hit on him. Arrows are just flying wide. In fact, on Tastra's turn, she's kind of trying to get a shot. She's like, feck it. And you see her rush forward. I just tried to move her on my OBS screen. 10, 25. She just barely makes it as she hits the edge of the mud. And she draws her... Where'd you go? There we go. She draws her short sword as she's running, kind of pulls it from the scabbard and rushes at him, slashing at him. And that is a hit. All right. Also, just slashing into him. He's now just surrounded, and he's growling, and he's swinging this club around over your heads. And his first attack this turn is going to be on Rosamund. But after that, it's anybody's game. Oh, yeah. Woo! This one smashes into Rosamund again, and this time her shield completely shatters. You see her arm pressed into her body, and she slides back in the mud. She's still standing, but she's now just, and like holding her arm. It's clearly pretty much non-functional. Then he turns and swings on Tastra.
Ooh.
He swings, and Tastra's got her short sword raised. He swings the sapling, and it smashes her, and she goes flying 15 feet back and smacks into the ground.
Like Sauron's mace style, just like...
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
She goes back, and as she goes flying, he turns to you, Cole, and he's like... And just... the stench of rotting things stuck in holes in his gums where once there were teeth just assaults you with this awful, awful breath. And Tastra looks like she's down for the count.
Tastra, no! Who's gonna buy me dinner?
I had to delete her. I couldn't mark her as X. So, all right, with that, it's Rosamund's turn. Her arm is just looking busted and broken, and she looks at you, Cole, and she's like, maybe today is a good day to die, and she takes her sword and makes her attacks on this guy. Ooh. Oh, she swings the first one, and he turns the sapling to her, and it kind of catches in some of the top of the branches. She pulls it back and swings again, and this time a meaty hand grabs her arm, and he kind of lifts her off the ground and is like, at her. Tobias, save them.
And Tobias is gonna again stand up, and he's gonna yell some encouraging words to his archers, to the hunters. It's like, keep firing, aim for the head and mouth. And so as he shoots, and doesn't.
You want to reroll it?
I'm gonna reroll that.
Okay.
So,
5 rerolls left, everybody. Oh, heartbreaking! Oh no! Who's gonna die tonight? Oh my God!
But let's see if how his archers, the hunters, do. They do.
Yeah, they do a little bit.
They do a little bit of damage. It's, I guess he's trying not to. As he's aiming, he's trying not to hit Rosemond, and so his arrows go a little bit wide as he's trying not to hurt a potential ally.
There's just so many arrows stuck in him at this point. He just looks like a pincushion.
And that would be my turn. So.
Okay, cool. So with that, we are over to you, Core.
Right. Can I use my 8 action to cause interference? Can I confer disadvantage?
You can
to,
confer
Griswold,
disadvantage
right?
on his first attack, yeah.
Right, that's what I'm going to be doing first. And what this looks like is like that, like you know, like the Arya sound, like the Arya voice, like that high voice from Lord of the Rings, where like
oh yeah,
the thing has like a bunch of moths like fly in his face.
Nice, awesome. Yeah, in fact, a bubble in the mud sort of erupts as moths fly out of it.
Yeah. Or cicadas. The cicadas makes even more sense because they're on the ground.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And he's like, swinging his arm around.
Yeah, just dumb cicadas bumped into him.
Cole, it is your turn.
All right, I'm gonna get back around him, and can I try and sort of run up his back to get to the base of his skull, to get on his shoulders?
Absolutely, yes.
All right. What would I roll for that?
Well, I think I would call that. That's a good question. You want to climb up? What you want to mount his shoulders?
Yeah.
I think that sounds to me like an acrobatics opposed against his. I would roll. I'm going to roll strength for that as he's trying to swat you off as you climb up. Right. So go ahead and roll your acrobatics versus his strength. You got to reroll. 5 left.
I'm going to use it. Yes.
Okay. You Legolas style run up his back, and he's like, as these cicadas are flying in his face, and you sort of just mount his neck, kind of piggyback style. And I will give you advantage on your next attack for that.
Awesome. I'm going to take my my Yikwa, and I'm going to just try and jam it into his skull.
All right, I'll give you advantage on that. Okay, that is a definite hit.
Do it.
Boom.
All right, yeah. He's kind of, and you stab, and it pushes through the fleshy part of his cheek. And he's just kind of pushes it back as you do. Clearly not enjoying that at all. Kyliora. Muted. Still muted. Nope. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you've gone muted again.
Oh no.
Kaliora's fallen out of the frame.
Hello?
There we go.
Okay.
Alright.
I'm gonna shoot him. Because I'm not going close to him still. Damn it.
Oh, hey, you got 4 rerolls left.
Yeah, I'm gonna...
Tempting.
Yeah.
Yes, that is a hit. You need that sneak attack.
That's there. Sneak attack is over here.
Okay.
And archers. And they did alright.
They did not bad that time. Cole, you're sort of ducking these arrows as they're trying to take their best shots. They're trying to aim as best they can. Kyliora plants one right in the hole that you left in his cheek, and this arrow now kind of goes through the hole and into the roof of his mouth, so it's kind of hanging out his side now, and he's just like, ah! And he bites into it. You hear it snap and fall to the ground, but you can see him kind of like, ah! As there's clearly one stuck in the roof of his mouth. Sorry. With that, it is his turn, and he takes the sapling back, and he smashes it down towards Rosamund. Oh my gosh, he can't miss. He
Is that a
smashes her. Oh,
No,
yeah, you're right. It is disadvantage. You're right.
Yeah.
Hey! He goes to swing, and she sees it coming, and as these cicadas are just like around his face, she takes the opportunity and dives to the side. She rolls in the mud and stands up, and the sapling just splats right into the mud, and mud kind of goes flying all over the place. With his other action, Cole, he's going to attempt to shove you, so he's going to try to clear you off his back. So
Right.
opposed athletics, please.
Athletics? Sorry about the train noise.
It's all right. Oh yeah, he reaches back and you feel his meaty hands just like surround your body and kind of grab onto your clothing, and he just quickly flings you down and you kind of fall down, slam into the mud. You're prone. But that is his turn. Rosamund, she kind of stands up, is looking kind of dazed as it's pulling its sapling back up out of the ground, and she charges forward with her sword, still holding her broken arm close to her body. That's a hit. Oh, yeah. All right. She gets 2 clean hits in on him. As he's throwing you down and he's pulling the sapling back up, she moves quicker than she looks like she might even be capable of. Does one slash, kind of like that, and then a slash back, leaving like an X on his belly. Blood kind of sprays out of it, and he's just... Tobias.
So Tobias, seeing that there's no longer any of his friends being held in the air, so he's gonna take a shot. He's going to turn to his archers there, and he's like, "This is the time. This is the time, guys. You want to defend your land. You want to make sure you don't have to deal with this hill giant anymore. Let's let our arrows aim true, and let us fell this beast as he stands." And he shoots.
That's a hit.
He's going to do 7 points of piercing.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get my archers. They're going to do 6 points of piercing as well.
Nice.
As arrows pepper into his side, he sways a little bit. Just looks like he's having a hard time staying on his feet. Cor, it is your turn.
Awesome. Giving a disadvantage again. As the cicadas, as I keep like maintaining like with my hands like the cicada swarm on his face.
Yeah, and in your head, you like hear cicadas singing as you're like channeling them almost through the ground. You can feel them sleeping beneath the dirt as you're awakening them with your song.
Rothduck. And it's like I'm like holding him there. Yeah.
Yes. Cole, it is your turn.
Alright, I'm gonna just look at him and try and stab him again with my Yakoa.
Do it.
Say this for what was her name? It was
Tastra.
Tastra.
Ooh, you have
Reroll.
3 rerolls left.
Damn it!
Oh, heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. You swing at him, but he's still, even arrows everywhere, covered in a sheen of blood. His mouth is kind of stuck open from a broken arrow. He's just swinging back and kind of blocking your hits, clearly swaying as if he were drunk. He's just woozy. Kyliora, your turn. Oh, sorry,
No,
Cole.
wait, I still have my bonus action.
Oh, yeah,
so
of course
I'm
you
gonna
do.
Strike it.
Of course you do, sorry. Yes, that is a hit.
So I'm gonna be like, okay, scratch that, and then just try and punch him as hard as possible with like the flat palm technique.
So I think you swing your Yikawa and he kind of blocks it and he leans down and you uppercut into his jaw and push that arrow further into the roof of his mouth. And he's just, and you see blood starting to pour out around the sides of his mouth. He is like swaying and staggering. Looks like he's confused, like he's not sure what's going on around him. Kyliora, it is your turn. I think you're muted again.
No, I can't hear you now.
How about now?
There
Yep,
we go.
there we go.
I don't understand this.
Is the jack something wrong with the jack? Oh, Wiley, thanks, dude.
Brand new computer. Nope, it's not the jack.
Hey.
Otherwise, I'll find a good set later. So I'm going to use.
You're super quiet. I don't know if you can adjust volume there, but you're coming through like really quiet now.
Hello?
There we go. A little better.
Okay.
All right, bring it home. He is looking rough.
Okay. I am going to drop my bow and pull out my rapier and feline agility
Oh, yeah.
behind
Nice.
and stab him in the back.
Nice. All right, you just come tearing across that field.
I'll tell the archers to cover me.
Sweet.
Okay, so rapier. Where did we go?
Going full rogue here.
Smack him in the face.
That is a hit. Roll damage.
Nice.
And that sneak attack.
Sneak attack. Yeah,
Whew. All right.
Very nice.
Cole, you see he's staggering. He doesn't even react to the sight of Kyliora just tearing across the field. She rushes right around you, Cole. You slide in the mud a little bit, just it's slick. As you slide by, you take your rapier, jam it right in his ass. It goes so far. You feel the hilt smack against his blubbery skin. And then you're like, oh shit, and you see him starting to tilt backwards. Roll an acrobatics check for me, please.
Oh damn.
Or dex save would be more appropriate. Dex save.
Dex save.
You're like, oh shit! You let go of your rapier and do a forward tumble and kind of roll across as his body smashes into the mud. The ground around you shakes. And with that, Igor Bone Cruncher has been fell.
Yeah. First game, first kill.
Congratulations.
Way to go.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That was
Nicely done.
Well done. Well done.
And with that, Rosamund is clutching her arm to her body. She kind of staggers forward. And she's like, well done, all of you. Well done.
Not too bad yourself. Here, take a bean.
She takes one and kind of
She heals 1 HP. It's
eats
good
it
berry.
quickly. Yeah. She's like, thank you.
I'm gonna grab that bag of beans from you and run over to Tastra.
All right. You run over to Tastra, her broken, battered body laying in the dirt, clearly smashed, almost beyond recognition.
Can I try and give her some berries?
Oh, you try. You shove it in her mouth, almost, maybe a little bit frantic, but there's no response.
I put a hand on your shoulder. It's all right, lass.
Even
We
Rosamund... Go ahead.
We almost did it.
Rosamund's like, she died a hero's death, to be sure. She fought for this town, and they'll never forget her. With that, she draws her blade, and she comes over to you, Kyliora. She said, I think you're down a weapon at this point. That rapier's not coming back from where it is. And I think my days of fighting giants are officially behind me. I think perhaps you should take this. She, holding on to the blade, hands you the handle of her sword True Strike.
I'm going to kind of half bow and take it from her. Thank you so much. I know it meant a lot to you. I'll make sure that I cherish it and not lose it in some ogre flesh.
She kind of nods and smiles and looks at the body of the giant, and she's like, well done. That was a hell of a fight. don't know about you all, but I could certainly do with some ale. And as she says that, go ahead, Tobias.
Tobias yells that, I think we all can do with a little bit of ale at this time. So how about, I'm pretty sure the tavern owner would be so kind enough to provide us all as much ale as we'd like,
And she kind of stares past you, Tobias. You see her staring a little bit into the sky behind you. And you all turn to see what she's looking at, and you can see a dust cloud clearly kicked up and approaching. And you know that the caravan is close. And the sounds of horse hooves beating against the ground in the distance as the outriders approach. And with that, our camera starts to pull back as Rosamund puts her one good arm around Kyliora, laughs at kind of with Cole, and you all head towards the tavern, and you can hear her voice say, "Surely you've got time for one round." And with that, everyone, tonight's adventure comes to a conclusion.
Nice.
I hope you all had fun. Kyliora, your sword True Strike allows you to, as a bonus action, cast the cantrip True Strike once per short rest. I think you're muted
Your
again
microphone's,
there.
microphone's cursed.
There you go. Yeah, I think you've got a cursed microphone.
Okay, well, I'll work on that. I'll get a new one for next time.
No worries. Well, I hope everybody had fun. We're going to go with the tradition we have started. We're going to go around the table. Everyone, one more time, say where we can find you. We'd love to hear your favorite moment of the game tonight. That's always super fun. And we're going to go in a different order this time. We're going to start with one of the original Hamburglers down here. We're going to start with Cole.
That was, what's a good moment? I don't know. I'm Shanalogic, by the way. I'm still like, oh no. Testra's dead. But that was so good, so dramatic, so fun, and
Cool.
trying to think of what else to say. Oh, if you guys like perler art, you should check out my perler shop, Shan's 8-Bit Smithy on Etsy.
You 100% should.
Fun nerdy stuff. So check it out, and if you have a chance to ever play with Steven as the DM, do it, because so
Thank you.
many emotions.
Thank you. Sorry about Tastra. All right, we're going to come back around. We're going to go to Tobias. We'll save Aisha. We'll save you for last since you got all the cool stuff tonight. Final kill, magic item. Adam, my friend.
I'm Adam. You can find me on Twitter and Twitch as Dirty Viking. Definitely had fun. I always enjoy playing with some fellow Hamburglers, and definitely enjoy playing with some new folks. I'm always looking forward to playing with some more new folks. And I would have to say tonight, pretty much this final battle, it's always nice seeing some new people playing. So I definitely liked Eric's druid crafting mud and cicadas coming out of that. That was just definite, like that was just cinematically awesome, and I liked it.
That was super cool. All right, we'll cross the X here. We'll go over to you, Eric. First time having a chance to play together. Super excited about it. Eric, hope you had a good time.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. Oh my God. Thank you for DMing me. Thank you, players, for putting up with my shenaniganery. And thank you, chat, for helping us out today. We could not have done this without your inspirations.
Yeah, you guys were very generous. Thank you.
Super clutch. Super clutch. It was fun almost dying. I'm normally the person doing the killing and not really on the receiving end of the dying. So that was a fun little change of pace. Yeah, and seriously, I'm so glad you were able to let me do all of the cool druid craft stuff. I love that so much. I love doing that with druids and being weird with earth and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's super fun. But I think my favorite moment was Shannon. I really like your character. I really like how you took no bullcrap about the money and giving it back. I thought that was really cool and very like who you are kind of person. And like you stood up and you did something really cool. And I really respect that. That was cool.
That was super cool. And last but certainly not least, Aisha, your first time not only on stream but playing. We're so happy to have you. Hope you had a good time.
Oh yeah, it was. Is my mic working this time?
It is working, yes.
Okay. No, tonight was fantastic. I had a great time. Thank you, everybody, for the inspiration and Steven for DMing. I'm Bittersweet Ari on Twitch. I don't really do much, and in the Castle Mac Discord. My favorite part has got to be, honestly, I really like the satyrs at the beginning and chasing the satyrs. I mean, the epicness of slashing open the harpy and the ogre and the giant was awesome, but I do love satyrs, and it was really fun chasing them in the beginning.
Those were fun. Those were fun to do. All right, well, thank you all once again. That was super fun. Thank you, chat. You guys were absolutely ridiculously generous tonight, and I super appreciate that. We're going to launch a raid on our friends over at Soul Bear RPG to share the love. We are going to be marching again Friday night with Devin Utilitas in his debut DMing endeavor. Guys, I am loving what we've been doing with the marches. It's been so much fun. We've got a lot of D&D coming up. Friday night marches, Sunday night back in Waterdeep, Tuesday night with Chronicles, all kinds of new fun stuff coming up, so we certainly hope you guys can join us. And with that, the raid is launching, so see y'all later. Thanks again for joining us.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
All right, and with that,
Awesome.
we are done.